He just played basketball, but became the chosen son. Introduction. He became famous in high school. He was the greatest player of the 03 generation, he was the ruler of an era, and he even surpassed Jordan to become the GOAT of the basketball industry. He is James' the least willing opponent to mention. Son of choice, Ryan. One can I choose my son all day long, even with the deduction of death at the beginning. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. February 6, 2002. The National College Invitational of the Nike Youth Basketball Development Festival. Sitting on the bench, Ryan watched the tens of thousands of fans and countless cameras on the field, as well as the renowned ESPN commentator Mike Tirico on the sidelines. It was hard to imagine that this was just a high school game. At this moment, ESPN Channel 2 is broadcasting nationwide. St. Vincent St. Mary High School, which has remained unbeaten this season, will face Oak Hill High School, which is ranked first in the country. LeBron James, the nationally renowned super genius, faced off against another, destined to surpass Jordan, Cameron Anthony. As for Ryan, he is also one of the participants in this game, about to compete with these two notorious geniuses. But just a few months ago, Ryan couldn't believe that as an ordinary office worker, he, who was abused by his boss while playing basketball in the community, could appear on such a field. Being able to play the same game as superstars like James and Anthony. Because a few months ago, Ryan was just an ordinary, positive young man who drank a loser version of a large bottle of iced black tea and was tormented by female bodhisattvas on short video apps until 2 or 3 in the morning every day. He has an ordinary appearance, a mediocre job, and even a slightly lower income than the average person. He didn't have a house or a car, but due to the request for a 300,000 yuan dowry, he lost his girlfriend whom he had been talking about for 2 years to Huohua. If nothing unexpected happens, his life will continue to be so ordinary. At that time, basketball was Ryan's only comfort. But the only connection between Ryan, an ordinary basketball enthusiast, and professional basketball is that he often discusses the difference between GOAT and deputy GOAT on a certain pitch. And often boasting about Lu Bai, I want to have James' physical fitness. I can definitely become a legitimate dog special, not a self-proclaimed dog special. Then one day, after staying up late and finishing overtime, while watching the video, Ryan saw that the men's basketball team could actually lose 20 points to South Sudan. He felt a pang of angina and lost consciousness. After waking up again, he found himself transformed into a high school student who stayed at his uncle's house abroad to pursue his basketball dream. Ryan crossed the river, and indeed, in this era where nuclear wastewater is directly discharged into the sea, anything bizarre could happen. Ryan's travel benefits naturally did not fall behind. In addition to his appearance comparable to Yenzu's and his current height of 2 meters and arm span of 2.2 meters, he also gained a basketball system. Thinking of this, Ryan, sitting on the sidelines, focused his attention and opened the AR system interface that only he could see. The GOAT Assist system in basketball is operating normally. Basic information page. Name: Ryan. Date of birth: June 1, 1984. Height: 2 meters, still growing. Arm span 2.20 meters. The initial template, King's Body, has been activated. The King's Body template, yes, Ryan's first lottery after opening the system was a template that allowed him to obtain the physical fitness of rookie James. That is to say, Ryan had a starting speed of 90, a jumping speed of 96, a strength of 84, a lateral speed of 94, and a physical fitness attribute of 92. He used to casually boast about Lu Bai's physical fitness online, but it turned out to be a reality. This body can even make a house by screwing screws in the factory. With this body and the ability to sing, dance, and rap, Ryan can return to China as the captain of the ugly country high school basketball team and make his debut directly. If Ryan reads How to Become the Charming and Stylish Man That Rich Women Like proficiently, he can also thrive in this body. Young people, it's not shameful to work hard to make money. However, Ryan, who has a basketball system, is not satisfied with playing around. In his previous life, he had a falling out with his girlfriend whom he had been talking about for 2 years due to a dowry of 300,000 yuan, and he was determined to become a superstar who barely managed to make ends meet on a yearly income of hundreds of millions of dollars. The opportunity to change one's destiny is right in front of us, and we cannot easily give up. With this idea in mind, Ryan has been playing very hard in every game since crossing over, hoping to become famous soon. His goal in this lifetime is very simple, to make big money through basketball. Although the values of Ryan's other attributes are still very low, apart from his physical attributes. But his excellent physical fitness was enough to make Ryan shine in his senior year, starting from a small substitute in Oak Mountain High. Originally, Ryan's physical fitness was not bad, but as for high school players, their physical condition remains the same year by year, and it is normal for them to make significant progress in a certain year, so there is no doubt about it. Don't you see that when Jordan was in the early years of high school, he could only play on the second team? It wasn't until his height skyrocketed and his physical fitness skyrocketed in his third year of high school that a basketball legend began. However, high school competitions are only high school competitions after all. In an era where the internet is not well developed and most fans can only rely on newspapers and television news to receive information, it is not easy for a high school player to become famous nationwide. Moreover, this season, the Oak Mountain has also brought in a more dazzling melon named Anthony. Becoming a teammate with Anthony has both advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is that winning is easier, and Oak Mountain High has been struggling to win this season. The downside is that Anthony's fame is too great, causing Ryan to always be overshadowed by Angu's radiance. Just like Wade, due to his teammates, he became the only player in history who, after 2 consecutive championships, actually lowered his own status. So Ryan is currently only very famous locally in Virginia, but has little reputation in the entire ugly world. And today, Ryan's opportunity to become a basketball star has finally come. In this highly anticipated high school basketball game in history, which allowed ESPN to broadcast nationwide. As long as Ryan can get rid of that high school genius who has already reached tens of millions of dollars in value under the watchful eyes of all ugly fans, he will be able to shake the entire basketball industry, reach the pinnacle of his life, and never be forced down by such a scumbag as a 300,000 yuan dowry again. Before the game even started, Ryan clicked on the task interface again, where he had his first system task obtained in a few months. Task: shine across the country. Goal: defeat St. Mary's High School in a national live competition with Melon. Reward: Cameron Anthony talent fragments. Seeing talent fragments, Ryan felt a liver ache. I'm afraid this system is not from the online art department. Although I am not sure what the specific reward is for now, since it is related to Angu, it should be very good. Now, there is another reason to have to win. After closing the system interface, Ryan found that the scene was already bustling with people. Due to the inability of the regular high school competition venue to meet this volume of competition, the venue of this competition has been moved to the basketball court of Akron University. Even so, the vast university basketball court is always present. At this moment, the atmosphere on site is no less than an NBA game. The attention to this game is very high, but at this moment, people's eyes are all on James and Anthony. No one knows yet about Ryan, a basketball world outsider with yellow skin and black hair, and the number 0 in Oak Mountain, who is actually not a good character. The game is about to begin, and Keith Damlott, the head coach of St. Mary's High School and former head coach of the University of Michigan, believes that there is no need to say anything more at this time. He is well aware that James is a complete blow to others. There is no need for overly complex tactics, giving the ball to James is the best tactic. This season, Damlott undoubtedly fully embodies the basketball professional term, winning with a dog. However, the coaching staff at Oak Mountain High School clearly did not think so. Before the game began, head coach Steve Smith assigned a sentence. Ryan, remember, your task today is to defend LeBron and let Cameron attack with peace of mind. Steve Smith always felt that this game was not a 1v1 match between Anthony and James. Ryan was the key to changing the game. Anthony also laughed on the side and said, "Yes, let that genius taste your strength, little lion." Angwa will never forget how embarrassing he was on the training ground on the first day of transferring to Oak Mountain High School this season because the name sounded like the number 0 of a lion. If anyone else can defend James in the high school league, it must be Ryan. Ryan stood up in the anticipation of the head coach and Angu, then nodded and said, "Let me handle it." Ryan took a deep breath and was about to live stream nationwide, facing James in the most highly anticipated high school competition in history. It has been so long since he traveled, and he has been waiting for such an opportunity. Make a name for yourself, from now on. Ryan walked onto the court. He was the key to winning in the eyes of teammates and coaches. But in the eyes of fans, Ryan is just an insignificant background in this grand scene. The 17-year-old boy wearing a green jersey and the naive-looking melon are the focus of the fans' attention. Two talented teenagers embraced each other, and the surroundings of the stadium instantly flashed with brilliance. This century's war was wildly reported by the all-ugly media a month ago, and the New York Times referred to it as the beginning of another twin era after Magician and Bird. This seems to be a stage exclusively for Anthony and James. But it's okay, Ryan believes that after this game, he will also become the focus of everyone's attention. He will definitely grab this traffic. In fact, Ryan has already caught the attention of some people. After all, Asians on the US high school field are just as scarce as giant pandas these days. Well, Romeo Travis, the starting center of St. Mary's High School and one of Ajan's good friends, has been following Ryan. Yellow-skinned, are you walking in the wrong place? The women's basketball game is next door. Seeing Romeo provoking Ryan, several other St. Mary's High School players around also laughed in agreement. Don't be surprised, you can always trust the qualities of the dark guys. It's polite for him not to cough directly at Ryan. Moreover, St. Mary's High School, which has not yet suffered a defeat this season, has become accustomed to bullying people on the field as they please. They look down upon no one and don't even consider any opponents. Ryan glared at Romeo, who spoke rudely to him. He looked even stronger than James. In the future, he will also be the only person in this St. Mary High School to play professional basketball except for James. Strength cannot be underestimated. The arrogant Romeo thought Ryan was a soft persimmon, but he was met with a fierce glare from Ryan. In a country where most Asians are labeled as cowardly and easy to bully, Romeo believes that it is normal for Ryan to swallow his pride. But how dare that kid still stare at me? What are you looking at? Be careful, I'll crush you to pieces. Idiot. Romeo raised his voice in an attempt to intimidate Ryan, but Ryan, who has been a man of 2 generations, now only has money and big business in his heart, and has no intention of arguing with children. Of course, this does not mean that Ryan will swallow his pride. He did not show weakness or anger. Instead, he calmly replied. "Shut up, LeBron's little wife. You're arguing to the death. I don't like to argue with women." For a moment, a burst of laughter erupted on the field. "Ha ha ha, Romeo, you can't even intimidate an Asian player. Kicked onto the steel plate, right? Ha ha ha. LeBron's little wife, I like your new nickname Romeo." Ryan, as a super keyboardist on various basketball forums in his past life, always used to spray people as a way to relax and pass the time. All kinds of sarcastic remarks were casually picked up. Romeo was angry at the time. Since he was in high school, no one has dared to humiliate him like this. Not to mention humiliating him as an Asian at the bottom of the basketball court food chain. In the future, it will be rumored that I have been scolded by an Asian weak chicken. How can I still get by? Romeo clenched his fists and said, "I'll make you regret it soon, you bastard. Ryan nodded nonchalantly and said, okay, I'm waiting for you, Princess Romeo. Seeing Ryan being careless yet deadly, Romeo almost suffered from high blood pressure at a young age. At this point, the referee signaled for both sides to prepare and he was about to kick off. NBA and college scouts are also fully focused, hoping to see what makes James and Anthony, these two geniuses, stand out. The referee threw the ball into the air, and Oak Hill fought for the ball's rights. James directly attacked Anthony and defended him tightly. At the age of 17, it is the age of youthful vigor and daring to fight. At this point, James will not consider too many things, nor will he consider the strategy of top horse versus bottom horse. As soon as he came up, he wanted to engage in a king-to-king battle, directly engaging in a close combat with Anthony. Although Anthony was entangled, his expression was relaxed. Because he saw his teammate number 0 already cutting into the penalty area along the bottom line. Oak Hill's high center back Eric Brown saw Ryan cutting in and immediately hit the ball into Ryan's hand. Ryan took 2 big steps with the ball and prepared to directly attack the frame, which was a perfect opportunity to score with an empty cut. But on the scene, Akron's fans cheered instead. Because at this moment, it is Romeo Travis, the tallest, strongest, and most destructive member of the St. Mary High School team besides James, who is guarding the penalty area. In the high school league, there are countless players who have been eliminated by Romeo within the penalty area. Although that Ajan is also very tall, sorry, you will also be wiped out. Romeo is also fully focused, stinky boy, let's see who our little wives are. I will beat you flat like a fly. Ryan calmly stared at the strong Romeo in front of him, without fear or slowing down, but ignored his defense and jumped directly. After Ryan jumped up, the whole world was shocked. Ryan didn't bump into Romeo, didn't confront him in the air, and didn't get slapped directly by Romeo. Because Romeo was also petrified by Ryan's height after jumping. Ryan seems to have just jumped lightly. Surprisingly, it flew directly over Romeo's bald head. After jumping Romeo directly, the number 0 in Oak Mountain threw the ball into the basket with both hands. James widened his eyes, grabbing a bunch of students who could dunk on the American high school court, but Nima could fly over the opponent's head directly to complete the dunk. At this moment, it was not just James who was shocked. Through the nationwide live broadcast, the scene of Ryan just flying over his opponent and completing a dunk spread throughout the entire Mealy family. Wait. What did he do? No, he flew directly over Romeo. What kind of abnormal physical condition is this? There are springs in his shoes, right? This guy actually replicated Carter's death button. All the fans watching this live broadcast on TV were stunned. Yu reading www.yuukiangshu.net. Who would have thought that in this highly anticipated game, neither Anthony or James were the first to take the lead, but a number 0 from Asia. Ryan himself was not surprised, as the King's Body template gave him the physical attributes of rookie James, and after the first system upgrade a few days ago, Ryan has further strengthened his physical attributes. In the previous upgrade, Ryan used the reward lottery opportunity to select the Skill Point Lottery gift box from the Skill Point Lottery gift box, Talent Fragment Lottery gift box, and Action Lottery gift box. 3 lucky draw packages were opened in the final gift box, totaling 8 attributes. So he increased his strength to 90 and gave the remaining 2 jumps, directly pulling the jump to near full level 98. That is to say, Ryan's current physical fitness is even more abnormal than the same period of Ajan. So, flying over a 2-meter, unprepared Romeo is simply an easy task. After a death button struck by lightning at the opening, the whole room fell silent. Ryan landed steadily, facing Romeo, bent down, and pressed his hand onto his ankle. Then, in the most calm tone, he said the most murderous words. "Mrs. Romeo, I'm sorry. Just now, I seem to have flown a little higher." After speaking, Ryan didn't smile on the surface, but he was extremely ecstatic in his heart. Did you complete a dunk in a national live game? The opening death penalty, I also have the opportunity to become the chosen son. At that moment, Ryan felt. I probably won't have to worry about a dowry of 300,000 anymore in my life. 2. The barrier that Ajan cannot break through. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. On this night when fans across the country are looking forward to James and Anthony's incredible performances. No one could have anticipated that the first to challenge would be an unknown Asian player. A death dunk at the beginning may be difficult for NBA players, but it's just right for Ryan, a high school student. Mike Diricho, the commentator of ESPN2, seemed shocked to see Martians invading Earth. This guy is an alien who walked down from the UFO in Sydney, right? As long as you are a basketball fan, you cannot forget the UFO over Sydney in 2000. So, Diricho described Ryan as an alien descending from a UFO, linking the two death buttons together. This can be considered a good thing, as most young players usually become popular only after having a supergiant as a template. In the era of Carter's popularity, the identity of Little Carter seemed to be good. On TV, ESPN also replays the footage from multiple angles over and over again. The number 0 in the middle of Oak Mountain just jumped lightly, as if not exerting too much force, and flew directly over Romeo's head. The terrifying physical fitness is evident. Even the head coach of St. Mary's High School, Keith Damlott, has entered a state of confusion. Ryan's dunk just now may seem difficult to ordinary people, but it's not easy for professionals like Damlow. Even James and Smith, whose physical fitness has exploded, have never performed such a scene on the high school field. This is just a high school league, and all the participants in the competition are 16 or 17-year-old children. Are children nowadays so irritable? Damlott is rarely shocked by one of the opposing players because he is all ugly. No, the most talented high school student in the world is playing under his command. He watches James every night as if he's a muscular man driving a small car on the field, constantly beating his opponents by 5 to 6 tenths. What kind of flat-headed battle axe hacks, James plays every quarter on time. I thought there would never be any scenes of high school competitions that would shock Damlott again. But the scene just now still made Damlott open his mouth wide for a long time. After Ryan landed, Romeo also froze in place, his whole body petrified. That guy, did you just fly directly from the top of my head? It is not difficult to imagine how ashamed Romeo was at this moment. The most shameful scene on the basketball court is being dunked by someone flying over their head. The scouts on the stands were also staring at Ryan with squinted eyes. Shooting, passing, dribbling, basketball intelligence, all of these have the possibility of cultivation. But physical conditions are just like mathematics, knowing how to do it, not knowing how to do it. Ryan's physical fitness undoubtedly left a deep impression on the scouts on site. Originally, scouts were all here to investigate Anthony and James, but Ryan managed to catch their attention with just one attack. This is a good start. He has successfully attracted people's attention. The game continued, and Akron's fans quickly regained their senses and began cheering for the team's second attack. After half-time, James realized that Oak Hill High School didn't use Anthony to defend him, but instead sent number 0, who had just flown over Romeo. All the ugly scouts were excited, and the Asian with an incredibly physical condition directly confronted James. Great, take a look at what number 0 can do besides dunking. But unfortunately, James disappointed the scouts. Because he didn't choose to break through directly on his own, but instead demonstrated his passing ability. As early as the summer of 2001, it was discovered that besides being able to soar in the air like Jordan, Ajan also had an extremely excellent passing vision and skills. The halo of Jordan plus magician has always been James' most shining label. James himself is also very willing to showcase his team spirit, and in fact, this hobby has been running through his entire career. So on this first attack, James did not directly single Ryan, but instead used a ground pass to deliver the ball to Romeo, who had gotten rid of Anthony and entered the interior. Angu just came to help Ryan defend James, but he didn't pay much attention to his opponent Romeo. Understand that super scorers like Anthony who have abused their peers since childhood often have poor defensive habits. After all, for them, playing a game is like playing the simplest difficulty 2K. Sometimes, they even intentionally release a few balls to prevent the game from becoming too boring. After receiving the ball, Romeo effortlessly cut into the inner line. Feeling extremely frustrated, he now only wanted to vent his dissatisfaction with a violent dunk and wash away the shame he had just suffered. This guy, who is one circle larger than James, suddenly jumped up, as if a dark cloud was pressing into the penalty area. The center forward at St. Mary's High School unconsciously took 2 steps back. Who wouldn't know that Romeo's strength is infinite? Unless you have a mental illness, you will stop him. Most people would choose to avoid seeing such a giant Han dynasty flying towards them. No man wants to take the initiative to withstand the impact of a tank, whether it's male or female. Dilico from ESPN2 has also been hyped up. LeBron's vision far exceeds that of his peers, even surpassing many college point guards. Over time, we will surely see a super genius who combines the strengths of Jordan and the Magic enter the league. Just halfway through, a loud noise on the field interrupted Dirico's speech. It also interrupted the cheers of Akron fans. Because of Romeo's powerful and heavy one-handed smash, Ryan, who quickly defended to the basket, pressed and grabbed him with one hand. After the death dunk just now, Ryan directly grabbed Romeo's dunk with one hand. Romeo, who originally wanted to wash away his sense of shame, plunged himself into greater shame. If he was caught by a genius like Xiao Si, it's okay, but the key is that catching him is just an unknown guy. James shook his head as he looked at it. He passed the ball almost perfectly, but it became a famous scene for the opponent. Romeo, what's going on today? Even a supporting role could not be decided. After grabbing Romeo's dunk directly, Ryan immediately handed the ball to Anthony. Soon, Romeo's calm but murderous voice came to his ear again. I'm sorry, Princess Akron. I thought you had recognized your strength, but... On the other end, Angua added 2 more points to Oak Mountain's high middle with a beautiful mid-range quick-stop jump shot. 4.0, although Angua scored the goal, everyone is currently discussing the number 0. Damn it, how do you feel like his physical condition is even more terrifying than Anthony? You're blind, his physical condition is even more terrifying than James. Just now, Oak Hill High School seemed to have used him to defend LeBron. You know, LeBron wouldn't have suffered from him too, would he? This question is something that all the fans who are following this game in Giala are extremely eager to figure out. Can James easily handle such a guy who has turned Romeo into a dog? Now the score is 4.0, and Akron's chosen son really doesn't intend to sit idly by anymore. After all, this is a national live broadcast. If you lose, it would be very damaging to the face of your chosen son. I originally intended to get along with you as an ordinary organizer, but in exchange for a one-handed fake. Now I'll show my cards and stop pretending. As the team leader, James patted Romeo's shoulder as a consolation. It's okay, Empress. Number 0 Ryan, right? Come on, let me see what's going on. James decided to personally take action and execute Ryan. This also brought the atmosphere on site to its first climax. Countless basketball geniuses like Ryan have visited Akron, and without exception, they were all trampled underfoot by that number 23. In the eyes of Akron's fans, Ryan couldn't escape such a fate. Asians, your performance is really impressive. But that's all for now. Next, the chosen son of heaven will double everything back. Seeing James lowering his center of gravity, Ryan also focused. At most, abusing Romeo is just warming up. If you really want to become famous in one battle today, then you have to do Lao Zhan. Ryan then opened his arms and took a step back to prevent James from breaking through. But the on-site fans all know that this is in vain. James, in the words of Pat Riley, said, "It's like a high-speed train. It's unstoppable." The entire high school basketball community knows that James has unstable shooting, so it's important to prevent him from breaking through. But even if I know, no player can defend James. Once he rushes forward, nothing his peers can stop him. James kept changing hands between his legs, slowly approaching, and then accelerating amidst the crazy cheers of the fans on site. He slammed the ball towards the ground with a powerful impact, hitting Ryan. Most high school players have been scared out of their wits by James at this point. The following results are nothing but two. Either Ryan is directly smashed by James like a foam board, or Ryan retreats to one side and watches James break into the box. In either case, the Akron fans will ultimately stand up and cheer. But today, under the lens of a nationwide live broadcast, Klein presented the third result. I saw Ryan calmly and agilely moving sideways, blocking James's path. Immediately afterwards, the whole audience heard a muffled sound of intense muscle-to-muscle collisions. Bang! And then Ryan is like a big mountain, standing steadily in place. And James, who had strong physical fitness and was invincible, was forced to stop by Ryan in the fierce confrontation. At this moment, James showed his first surprised expression in 3 years of high school. He seemed to be asking himself, how could I fall behind in the confrontation? This is the first time on the high school field that someone can completely push James, who has already started racing, to a stop. Ryan had previously increased his strength attribute to 90, and his current weight is similar to James's. So, Ryan has an advantage in the confrontation. Most high school students cannot afford the impact of James, but Ryan is an exception. All Akron fans, all ugly scouts, couldn't believe their eyes at this moment. It's okay to abuse Romeo before the 0th, but now he's actually guarding James. What kind of divine is this guy? A few years ago, a mysterious Great Wall of China emerged that had tortured Tyson Chandler to tears, and now it has created an eastern fortress that can strengthen James. Your Chinese immortals are on the road to the country of Cho to perform and become gods. Anthony and Steve Smith sneered contemptuously, and James's surprised expression was as they expected. As we all said, Ryan is the key to today's game and the key to defending James. Ryan's defensive skills are not actually outstanding, but winning relies on his body to solve most defensive problems. Even facing James is no exception. Delico from ESPN2, with a trembling voice, told Cho. This guy. His body seems even more terrifying than LeBron. Where exactly did this terrifying lion come from? Ryan forced James to stop, still displaying his previous keyboardist spirit. Akron Little Prince, UU reading www.uukiangshu.net. Did you get your eyes pecked blind by a swallow? Why did you hit the wall with your head? Broken, my mouth is too broken. The players at St. Mary's High School don't even know where Ryan came from with such a large vocabulary. The most crucial thing is that Ryan's tone was very calm from beginning to end, but this calm tone brought even greater shame. It's like Ryan took you for granted. Watching James collapse, Ryan also felt a sense of satisfaction in his heart. He, who had been addicted to typing on forums before, can finally have a real face-to-face relationship with Ajan on the basketball court. After James was forced to stop, he had no choice but to pass the ball. But Angua, who had been in ambush for a long time, immediately moved to the passing route to steal the ball. Ryan and Anthony teamed up to force James to make an offensive mistake. LeBron, this super genius who led his team to win the championship with a perfect record in his freshman year and was invited by Jordan to train together in his sophomore year. Unexpectedly, Ryan solidly prevented it. The first match against James ended with Ryan's perfect victory. At this moment, people realized that Romeo was just Ryan's appetizer. LeBron, danger. James looked at Romeo and spread his hands. Empress, this kid has 2 brushes. But don't worry, he's committing a crime of straightness. I'll definitely treat him. When James and Romeo exchanged their experiences of being beaten, Ryan looked up and couldn't help but laugh as he looked at the surprised fans and crazily recorded scouts in the audience. National Live Broadcast, 1.on.1 explosion. Proof James. My basketball dream is now on the right track. Guagua, move aside a bit. Today's competition is mine. 3 Tianxuan Son. 9 points in a single game. This is just the beginning of getting beaten up. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. LeBron James is eager to help his good brother Romeo stand out and regain the initiative in the game. I thought that being a mere nobody was not enough to be afraid of. Playing Ryan, isn't that just about pressing an accelerator button? The first breakthrough was actually forced to stop and there was a mistake. Romeo was speechless, and the older brother confidently patted his chest and said to go across to see what was going on. As a result, the older brother himself was also beaten up. Romeo didn't know, but the results were actually quite good. After some big brothers go to the opposite side to take a look, they will join directly. St. Mary's High School has actually studied Ryan, but in the eyes of head coach Damlot, a player with physical fitness but relatively rough skills doesn't need to worry at all. After all, in terms of physical fitness, who can compare to my family's Ajan? But the fact has proven that there are really people in the high school basketball world whose bodies are even more explosive than Ajan. After James was intercepted, he didn't react yet. Ryan had actively started frantically thrusting forward and immediately counterattacked. Ryan's sprint speed is very fast, and he has already reached the opposite three-point line in just a few steps. Angua didn't hesitate to pass and found Ryan directly. Ryan was like a runaway truck, pushing open the defender who was trying to stop him, and then taking 2 big steps, he effortlessly staged a flat-headed dunk. Oak Mountain leads 6.0 high. Don't look at this as just a fast attack critical dunk, it seems very simple. But in fact, many professional players who play for the national team may not be able to understand. Ryan's abilities in certain aspects are already stronger than professional players. At this point, NBA and college scouts have added Ryan to their shopping carts. There's no way, a young and energetic body, who can resist it. On the stands, NCAA coach Roy Williams, who once created Pierce the Truth, is already grinning. He had been following Ryan for a long time, and in his mind, Ryan has always been one of the most worthwhile high school students to recruit this year. Although Anthony is very strong, he has long promised to go to Syracuse University. So no matter how sweet this melon is, it's still someone else's and boring. But Ryan is different, so far he has not shown any signs of flirting with any universities. As long as he is recruited, Kansas will definitely be able to dominate the country next season. At present, Nick Collison, who already holds the title of the last hope of the ugly nation's white interior, in the Kansas lineup, is the top scorer in the Major 12 league for the past 2 years and has been selected for the Dream 5 team's training roster as a college student. In addition, there is also the tall white point guard Cork Sinrich. The best duo in college basketball history, Sinrich and Collison, once led the team to the semifinals last season. Unfortunately, they lost to the University of Maryland in the semi-finals and missed the chance to win the championship. The reason for losing that game was because Maryland point guard Juan Dixon saw defense as air and slashed 33 points. Although Zinlich has excellent defensive awareness, he is also tall enough. But due to his limited athletic ability, it is difficult for him to break up with such flexible ball-free scorers. What Kansas currently lacks the most is a powerful side-wing single defense expert. As long as this vacancy is filled in, the entire team will have no shortcomings. Ryan, who can defend James, is undoubtedly the most suitable candidate. The loud cries on the scene freed Roy Williams from his thoughts. Surrounded, Akron's fans covered their heads with both hands, as if surprised to see God descending on earth. Even James had a stunned expression of, "How could such a thing happen to me?" Roy Williams looked at the big screen at the scene, which was indeed replaying the scene just now. After reading it, he, who had been in battle for a long time, was momentarily speechless. Just now, James challenged Ryan as usual. But after trying several breakthroughs but being blocked, Ajan had no choice but to take a step-back jump shot. The back-step jump shot may not seem explosive enough, but Akron's fans don't care about the way it is now. They just want to see James score immediately on Ryan's head. We can't let that number 0 go wild anymore. This is our home ground. The chosen son of all ugliness, the young king of Cleveland, cannot be defended twice in a row by a guy who doesn't know where to come from. However, at this time, the entire transition of Ajan's backward step jump shot is not smooth enough. So, Ryan easily judged James' intentions and jumped up while James took action. Because the jump is high enough, the projectile speed is fast, and the arms are long enough. So, Ryan didn't just fly James's shot. But he reached out and directly confiscated the basketball that James had just thrown. After just catching Romeo's dunk, Ryan actually grabbed James's three-pointers with one hand. For 2 consecutive arrests, Damlot exclaimed, "Good guy. With your proficiency in catching the ball with one hand, I'm afraid you haven't practiced single-handed ball control with your female classmates much in your daily life, have you?" This block gave Oak Mountain High School an easy opportunity to counterattack. Anthony took over the sharp basketball counterattack and Oak Mountain High School started with an 8.0 lead. Ryan and Anthony, this combination of attack and defense, has made it difficult for St. Mary High School, which has remained unbeaten this season, to resist. After Anthony scored, Ryan shrugged at James and Romeo. "I'm really sorry, Prince Akron and Mrs. Romeo. I thought there were still a few players on your team who could play football. If I had known about this dish, I wouldn't have been so serious." James was trembling all over, and someone actually said that I dish. Angua shook her head when she saw it, sympathizing deeply with Ajan and grateful that she and Ryan were on the same side. Ryan, although he has strong emotional control, is not easily angry. But his mouth is really broken, a calm and attentive tone can make you angry. Angua always comes this way in the training camp. St. Mary's High School coach Damlot couldn't bear it anymore and took the lead in calling a pause. So, the unbeaten teacher St. Mary High School, who had the chosen son, was unexpectedly stopped first at their own home ground. And the main culprit in stopping them is not Anthony. During the pause, ESPN2 commentator Doricho looked at the incomplete information about Ryan in his hand and felt a bit panicked. "I still can't believe that someone can defend James twice in a row. University scouts across the country are definitely looking for Ryan's information now." Unconsciously, the focus of people's conversation has shifted from Anthony and James to Ryan. James admitted that he underestimated the number 0. The last time he met an opponent who was on par with him was at last year's ABCD training camp, facing Lanny Cook, the high school basketball king with strength above Stoudemire and Anthony. At that time, Lanny Cook was also focused on being all ugly. Buckley commented, "As long as Stern allows, Cook will become the first player in history to be selected by the NBA in his senior year." But in that year's ABCD training camp, James scored a stunning victory over Lenny Cook. Since then, he has replaced Lenny Cook's position and gained nationwide fame, while Cook has become a stepping stone for James. And everything today seems to be a replica of a year ago. An absolute champion in high school basketball, about to become another person's stepping stone. James doesn't want such an ending, he doesn't want to be someone else's wedding dress. He must not collapse here. So after pausing and coming back, James, who was determined to win the game, made a dribble from the crotch and successfully hit a three-pointer, immediately giving a response. Akron's fans cheered and thought it was the beginning of James' comeback. But Oak Hill High School coach Steve Smith laughed. "Ryan, he's forcing James to shoot to solve the problem. And this is the signal of a complete victory for Oak Mountain." Sure enough, the next thing to welcome James is not a Jedi counterattack. But it's an endless and fierce confrontation, with tight and seamless defense. James doesn't have any easy attacking opportunities at all. Ryan seemed to transform into a hard stone wall, completely blocking James, the beast. Ajan found it difficult to break into the penalty area and had to rely on unstable shots to hastily end the attack. The 3 points after the pause were not a clarion call for counterattack, but just a little consolation. Moreover, although Ryan is a Chinese player, his physical fitness is not at the level of 3 no-touch free throws from the second quarter onwards. Even if defending James alone for a whole game, Ryan's physical fitness ensures that his defensive strength can be consistently on the line from start to finish. Hard from start to finish. And in terms of spiritual attributes, Ryan is also stronger than Ajan today. Ryan is very clear that as a basketball player, the most direct way to make money is to kill the opponent. And if you want to do it, you have to do James, the most famous one. Can James be called an opponent in Ryan's eyes? That's called walking 5 million. The game lasted until the last 34 seconds, and Oak Mountain took the lead at a crucial moment with Anthony's triple threat jump shot from high up 11 points. The originally fierce competition ended up being played without any suspense. That is to say, after leading too much, Angua started playing recklessly and played a lot of iron, otherwise the difference in points would probably be even greater. James once again demonstrated his organizational talent today, sending a total of 9 assists and only making 1 mistake. But James' single-game scoring so far is 9 points. Ryan used ruthless defense to make James, who had previously scored like chopping vegetables, and James, who had previously been free-spirited on the offensive end, struggle with every move. Ajan was panicked. He never expected that, just like his own self in the middle of the day, he would overturn such a big car. If it were a regular game, it wouldn't be a big deal, but today it's just a nationally broadcast game, the most highly anticipated high school game in basketball history. He, who was originally touted as Jordan, was suddenly beaten by Ryan to become Drexler. Although Anthony is the player with the most points scored today, the commentator on site, Durico, still praised Ryan. Unbelievable single defense ability. I have never seen anyone defend LeBron so badly. In fact, throughout LeBron's entire high school career, he never played a game where he couldn't score double in a single game. Can LeBron complete the redemption for the next crucial attack? That's right, complete the redemption. Although St. Mary's High School no longer has a chance, James still has a chance. He also has the opportunity to increase his score to double digits and reduce the difference to single digits. At least, James can still make himself lose a bit more decently. James held the ball at the top of the arc and faced off against Ryan, with all the ugly eyes on these two people. Unconsciously, Anthony became a supporting role today. At present, everyone only cares about the outcome between Ryan and James. Is it Ryan who rose to fame or James who saved face? It's up to this round. Ryan stared closely at James, his mouth like a typing keyboard, clattering incessantly. Abandoning LeBron, getting 9 points in a basketball game is already good enough. I've seen someone who only gets 8 points before. James ignored it and continued to use his invincible body to try to break through as usual. But just like countless previous attempts, Ryan did not give James any advantage in the confrontation. In fact, Ryan's defense is not only due to strong confrontation, but also because his lateral movement speed and arm span are very abnormal. Defending James with his physical fitness is called treating him with his own medicine. Helpless, James could only forcefully take 2 big steps and squeeze into the basket, immediately lifting the basketball with both hands, as if intending to make a close-range shot without getting rid of Ryan. Ryan, who was close to James, immediately jumped up to interfere. Who would have thought that James was just making a fake shot? After swinging Ryan, James retrieved the basketball, took 2 more steps to crawl under Ryan's armpit, and low-handed picked up the basket to score. In that moment, the entire gymnasium was shaking, and Ajan's score finally reached double digits. James also breathed a sigh of relief, although he could no longer change the game result, at least he wouldn't lose so shamefully. Akron fans on the stands also began to shout at Ryan. "Ha ha ha, in the end, you still can't stop our king. Admit it, you're worthless in front of the chosen son. As long as he wants, he can score whatever he wants. Before, he was just selfless. Ryan is also convinced, he's about to lose. Are you still so tough?" But just as Akron fans were busy cheering, the referee's whistle shattered the joyful atmosphere at the scene. After he whistled, he signaled to James walking violation. That's right, just now James took 2 more steps while already being forced to stop and lift the basketball, and then passed by Ryan and picked the basket successfully. If it were in the NBA, it might be a good game. As is well known, the walking rules of the NBA are very humane, with different penalty standards based on different individuals. But on the relatively refined high school basketball court, reading www.Tianxuan.net, it is impossible for Ajan to pass the test just now. At a critical moment, James was defended by Ryan and made a wrong step on the offensive end. And this also means that LeBron's single-game score is still limited to single digits by Ryan, 9 points. Ryan cruelly locked the genius James completely. St. Mary High School and LeBron James both died. At the moment the referee gave the verdict, Anthony excitedly jumped onto Ryan. He didn't even expect to be able to abuse double digits at St. Mary's High School. Ryan looked around and almost all the cameras on the scene were aimed at him. Derecho was also cheering with his arms up. This magical Asian has opened up a new chapter in high school basketball. We have a new chosen son. In the despairing gaze of Akron fans, Ryan put down Anthony on his back, picked up the basketball, deliberately exaggerated and took 4 slow steps, then threw the ball towards the basket, mocking Ajan's layup just now. Even if Ryan imitates, the key is that Anthony, who is silly, also imitates behind. Finally, the entire team at Oak Hill High School lined up to perform a 4-step layup. Akron fans are all wearing it, are Unima High School students. But what Akron fans think is no longer important. Ryan, the person with the most arrogant personality and the most explosive body, undoubtedly seized the opportunity of this national live broadcast and left a deep impression on everyone. James walked down the court with his head down and clenched his fists. That number 0, why? Ajan was unaware that getting beaten up in high school was just the beginning of their infamous relationship. The fate gear of the entire basketball world begins to rotate. For target 3. Your draft. Talent fragments received. You are listening at novel full.audio. In a single game of 9 points, the team lost in double digits and was forced to make a step mistake in the crucial leg. I was also mocked by the imitative walking movements of others lining up in line. Before today, you couldn't even imagine LeBron James being so embarrassed in a high school game. And all the tragedies that happened to James today were thanks to that number 0. Ryan successfully snatched traffic and became the protagonist of this century's war. At this point, there is very little time left for the game, and it is still the possession of the ball in Oak Mountain High. This also means that James lost his last hope. He must end the game with the shame of single-digit scoring in this century-long battle. The entire Akron was now plunged into darkness. The genius sought after by everyone, the man known as the Little Emperor, collapsed in an extremely shameful way. This is the first time people have discovered that LeBron James is not omnipotent either. The live broadcast also showed Ryan, who was just an ordinary worker a few months ago. His still immature face was filled with longing for the future. Derecho looked at the boy whose talent overflowed his body and felt fortunate for James. LeBron is fortunate that this is Ryan's last high school season. Otherwise, he is very likely to have the same nightmare again. There is one more sentence that Derecho didn't say. Although he dodged Ryan in high school, in his future career, LeBron and Ryan are likely to collide with many sparks, and he is destined to be a man LeBron can't avoid. The electronic buzzing sound echoed throughout the room, marking the end of the game. 81.70, with Anthony's 34 points, Ryan's 24 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 blocks, Oak Hill High School successfully defeated St. Mary's High School and won the great battle of the century. At the end of the game, before Ryan could react, countless journalists were already carrying cameras and surrounding him in a tight circle. In stark contrast to Ryan, James returned to the player tunnel alone and was quickly forgotten by reporters. There's no way, this cruel basketball world. New tea always smells better than old tea. Ryan has become the new darling of all ugly. A pile of microphones were extended to Ryan's mouth, and the reporters were asking various questions. Ryan, will you directly participate in the NBA draft as a high school student, or are you planning to pursue further studies at the NCAA? How does it feel to defeat LeBron? Do you think you have the ability to play in the NBA? Ryan has never seen such a battle before. In his past life, Ryan was a little transparent person who was ignored in both school and work. This sudden sensation of being highly anticipated made him feel a bit confused for a moment. Just as Ryan was at a loss, the doll-faced guy walked up to him and placed his arm on Ryan's shoulder. "Hey, have you seen everyone? This is my good brother's strength. He is the strongest high school defender I have ever seen, and even if I meet him on the training ground, it will be very difficult. LeBron may not be human, but Ryan is a real beast." Ryan. Thank you. Although his words were a bit rough, Anthony really wanted to take this opportunity to crazily promote his good teammates to the media. Although Angu transferred to Oak Mountain High School for only a year, he got along quite well with Ryan. Not only because Ryan is willing to help Anthony defend wholeheartedly, but also because Ryan often helps Anthony with free tutoring. Why did Anthony transfer schools? It's because my grades at the old school were too poor to meet the requirements for playing basketball, so I couldn't stay any longer. After arriving at Oak Mountain High School, Angu, who had not learned much in the first 3 years, naturally couldn't keep up with his grades. At present, Anthony's family does not have the money to make up for classes. So, Ryan acted as Anthony's tutor. After training every night, Ryan would perform my intimate time with the tutor. Avi, in Angu's dormitory. Under Ryan's careful guidance, Angu's grades improved by leaps and bounds, and he was able to pass every exam. So Angua has always been very grateful to Ryan, and now he has decided to take advantage of this national live broadcast opportunity to repay Ryan and give him a big blow to help his brother build his reputation. Sure enough, after Angua finished speaking, the reporters were somewhat surprised. "Cameron, are you saying? Even if you face Ryan's defense, you will find it difficult?" "It's not as difficult as a single game with 9 points. But indeed, he is the only person in the entire high school basketball industry who can bring me defensive pressure." Upon hearing this, Akron reporter couldn't help but want to curse. "Who made you score 9 points on the bill of lading? Life is not going well, you. If it weren't for this referee not knowing how to walk, could I score 9 points in a single game?" With Anthony's help, the journalists became even more interested in Ryan. If there is a high school player who can defend both James and Anthony at the same time, then he definitely has the ability to make a name for himself in the NBA. After finally dismissing the reporter and returning to the changing room to change clothes, Ryan was surrounded by several men again. They are all college scouts and have left their own business cards for Ryan. Ryan took the business cards one by one, and then a few self-proclaimed agents appeared to tell Ryan, "You don't need to pay attention to those college scouts, they only squeeze the bodies of student players for free. Ryan, at your level, as long as you announce your participation in the NBA draft, you can become a millionaire in 6 months. And I can arrange everything for you." Ryan is somewhat flattered and male. Is this the feeling of becoming a basketball star? But as soon as Ryan walked into the parking lot, he threw away the business cards of those agents. Firstly, as a seasoned basketball fan in his past life, Ryan still knew the names and appearances of several well-known agents in his circle. And the ones who just gave him business cards are obviously not in Ryan's memory. You must choose a reliable agent. Otherwise, there is a high possibility of Duncan being scammed into tens of millions by his agent. Moreover, agents without connections and strength cannot help you operate well. Of course, Ryan is not in a hurry to directly challenge the NBA right now. After all, he has just become famous, just showing a hint of talent. Although we defended James today, it was only one game after all. In the first 3 years of high school, Ryan's performance was very average, and no team would be foolish enough to use one-game theory to select players. In the original history, Stoudemire, currently ranked first among high school students, was only 9th in the draft. Lanny Cook, the most highly anticipated high school star before James, simply lost this year. So Ryan ran directly in the lottery with only one highlight season, and it's just a dream to be selected in the lottery. Moreover, Ryan is still an Asian. Now Asian players like Yao Ming, who have already proven themselves in the World Series, are being questioned, not to mention Ryan, a high school student. At the current market situation, if Ryan directly participates in the draft, the ranking will definitely not be too good. The ranking of draft picks is not only related to salary, but also to the resources that the team favors for you. Whether the team is willing to cultivate you seriously and build a team with you as the core is the key to whether a young player can grow. In addition, Ryan is also well aware that his current abilities are still greatly lacking. Although he has added physical attributes to a level that surpasses James, other enhancements have not yet been unlocked. According to the system description, apart from the body type attributes, the free point adding system for the other major types of attributes is still in a waiting to be unlocked state. In other words, it is still impossible to add points and can only be improved through self-training. Among other attributes, the highest block prediction is only 62. As for key attributes such as 3-point, ball control, mid-range shooting, and dribbling, they have not yet reached 60. I can't play NBA without my body. Playing as a substitute in the NBA is better than practicing as a star in the NCAA. Ryan needs to further experience and accumulate more fame. He doesn't want to enter the NBA with a low ranking and then hastily leave after sitting on the bench for a few years. Those exorbitant contracts and endorsements are exclusive rights of superstars. If you want to make money, you have to be a supergiant. So, Ryan's inner goal is the 2003 draft. The 03 Super Platinum generation, Ryan is certainly well aware that it was a crucial draft in the entire history of the NBA. I also don't know what impact my joining will have on this draft. Is it becoming the insignificant dust in this dazzling generation? Or, perhaps, write a new legend that is completely different from the original history. Today, he made his name for the first time through nationwide live streaming. And next, he will continue to consolidate his fame, improve his strength, and strive to make a difference in the 2003 draft. While Ryan was thinking, he heard a system prompt sound of ding. Complete task. Shine across the country and defeat St. Mary's High School in a national live competition with Melon. Reward. Cameron Anthony talent fragment. Ryan smiled, he almost forgot that he came with a task for this game. The opportunity to become stronger again is here. 5. The next opportunity to become famous. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. When everyone in Oak Mountain returned to their hotel rooms, the TV news was still reporting on the first national live high school competition in history. Because the high school competition started earlier and started in the afternoon. So after ESPN finishes broadcasting this game, they will continue to live stream NBA games. But even in the live broadcast of NBA games, commentators are still talking about James and Anthony. Of course, I can't forget to talk about Ryan. During the pause of the Western Focus game between the Lakers and the Spurs, both commentators complained about Roast's low shooting rate today. As is well known, in the current 1.02 season, Kobe has already begun to restlessly stir up. Famous 5-star critic MacArthur once said, "A snake that doesn't want to defeat a shark is not a qualified basketball player." Kobe has been under the pressure of the Sharks for too long, and now he also wants to take the initiative in the upper echelon with ambition. So in many games this season, the combination of Kobe and O'Neal has been in a state of mutual comparison. Today's game against the Spurs was Kobe's crazy shot, eager to prove that even without O'Neal, he could still dominate the game. It has been proven that Kobe does have such abilities. Tonight, he dominated the Lakers to the death, helping the Spurs gain a 9-point lead in the first quarter. Throughout the first quarter, Kobe made 1 out of 6 shots and only scored 2 points. The Lakers are almost suffocated by Kobe. Who else besides Kobe can make the dynasty Lakers so miserable? Looking at Kobe's data, Mike Bryn, who was commenting on this game, suddenly said, "Fortunately, Kobe doesn't have to worry about being the most embarrassing person tonight. Because ahead of him, there is LeBron who scored 9 points in a single game tonight in an important match." Sure enough, the move of Ajan is very useful in any era. Speaking of which, Mike Bryn once again recounted Ryan's outstanding performance today. Ryan allowed LeBron to score below double digits for the first time today, and Oak Hill also won the game with a huge double-digit advantage. Ryan, this versatile forward, may become the strongest perimeter defense expert after Jordan being able to hear the commentator boasting about himself during NBA National Live games. Ryan felt a great sense of accomplishment at this moment. At this moment, Anthony, who lived with Ryan, walked out of the bathroom after taking a shower. Ryan thought Anthony was going to wash and sleep, but little did he know that after washing, this guy changed into handsome clothes and put on various chains that looked at least 10 pounds around his neck. When walking, there will be a jingling sound. Ryan looked at Anthony with confusion and said, "Are you going out? Coach Steve needs to know, I'll peel off your skin." Where does the production come from without courage? Lala finally came to Cleveland with me. How could I stay in a hotel room and take a nap? Ryan, are we together? She also brought a best friend. Single. See what is C? Oh, contemporary high school youth just make a name for themselves. They think about picking up girls every day. You go on your own, women will only affect the speed of my progress. Anthony smirked and approached Ryan, hugging Ryan's shoulder. Ryan, I'm not talking about you. You only train and study all day, how boring is your life? Let's go. Her best friend in the martial arts world is known as the little peach in the world, learning dance. Do you understand what I mean? We are all almost 18 years old, you should also be a real man. Today you won against LeBron, why don't you spin a peach to celebrate? I'm not interested. You should come back early. I can't stop the coach from checking the room. Hey brother, I see you have the potential to become the next AC Green. Forget it, if you don't want to go, I won't force it either. But I will get you the contact information of Xiaomi Tao. If you are interested, you can contact me by yourself when you go back after speaking. Anga tiptoed out of the room, sneaked out of the hotel, and went on a date with his future wife. Ryan is not actually a dull person, but he is not interested in the small love between high school students. And Anthony's future wife's best friend, I'm afraid it's not a black little peach. So forget it, boycott illegal vehicles and refuse to ride in black cars. Ryan, now there's something even happier than eating peaches. I originally planned to start secretly under the covers after Anthony went to bed. Now that Anthony has gone out, it's just right, there's no need to hide it. Original system, start. Ryan sat on the bed, his attention slightly focused, and the AR interface of the system reappeared. It's time to redeem the Anthony talent fragment you just received. Ryan had never received the talent fragment reward before. According to the system description, talent fragments are one of the talents that can be obtained from this player. The more powerful a player is, the better their talent shard effect will be. Based on this, Ryan is even more looking forward to Anthony's talent shards. At Angwa's level, as long as he doesn't draw any defensive talent fragments, his quality will definitely not be poor. After clicking to open this talent fragment, Ryan saw a line of text popping up on the system interface. Has acquired Cameron Anthony's talent for mid-range receiving and shooting. Effect. Significantly enhances the stability of mid-range receiving and shooting, and during receiving and shooting, the entire mid-range becomes a shooting hotspot for 3 seconds. Sure enough, the talent obtained from Angwa is Lu Bai, and the effect is immediately, greatly enhanced. And at the moment of receiving and shooting, the entire mid-range will become a hotspot. Ryan has seen before that if a certain area becomes a shooting hotspot, the shooting attributes in that area will increase by 5 points. That is to say, when Ryan catches and shoots, his shooting attribute can be +5. Angwa is truly the winner of the NBA's Most Defensive Defense Award for multiple seasons. Any talent he possesses on the offensive end would have a huge impact on Ryan. This talent can undoubtedly solve Ryan's current problem of having too limited attacking methods. Previously, Ryan had no shooting or ball-holding ability, so his attacks relied on empty cuts and strong attacks on the frame. But now with this talent, he can at least become a free pitcher at mid-range. Okay, maybe not yet. Thinking of this, Ryan opened the attribute interface and took a look. My current CIC attribute is only 53. Even with a hot zone bonus, the shooting attribute during receiving and shooting can only be increased to 58. Due to the inability to add shooting attributes at the moment, Ryan can only practice on his own. Ryan must now improve his mid-range shooting skills to around 55, plus a 5-point bonus in the hot zone, so that he can achieve decent mid-range receiving and shooting output in the current game. Do you know that this attribute rating is calculated according to NBA standards? The mid-range attribute of 60 in the NBA cannot be played indiscriminately in high school or NCAA. Don't you see Howard's skills? In high school, he was also known as the combination of Duncan and O'Neal. After drawing the prize, Ryan lay happily in bed. Nowadays, people are talking about themselves on TV, and the media is likely to give themselves more attention in the future, just like they do with Anthony and James. So next I just want to find a way to maintain this performance and skyrocket my ranking on the draft lists of major NBA teams. The next day, Anthony was groggy on the return flight to Xiaosuiyuan.com. Ryan looked disdainfully at Angwa and said, "You can't do this either." Back then, I had to stay up all night at the P station, and the next day, I could still go to the company to check in with energy. After the plane landed and taxied, Anthony also woke up from his sleep. Seeing Ryan staring at him with resentment, Angwa immediately took out his phone. "Don't look at me with that kind of gaze. I'll get you the phone number, buddy. Keep your word. Don't worry, if I have 1 bite of abalone to eat, you have 1 bite of peach." Ryan. Don't say it, guagua is indeed a symbol of loyalty. When they got off the plane, the players in Oak Mountain were treated like NBA All-Star teams. Countless Virginia fans are yelling at Ryan and Anthony, taking out their jerseys for them to sign. Journalists also flocked, as if Kobe and O'Neal had walked out of the airport. Ryan thought reporters would ask boring questions like, "What's it like to defend James with 9 points in a single game?" that have been answered countless times. However, the reporter told Ryan, "Adidas has officially invited you to participate in this summer's ABCD training camp, along with this year's first high school student Stoudemire. Your high school is not in the same competition area, so this is an opportunity to compete with the first high school students. Ryan, you will go, right? What are your expectations for this training camp?" Ryan was stunned for a moment. Stoudemire, first high school student, ABCD training camp, newly added ability to receive and pitch. He seems to have seen the next opportunity to make a name for himself. 6th NBA Hidden Godfather. On the importance of the team behind it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After defeating James in the National College Invitational at the Hook Youth Basketball Development Festival, Oak Hill High School continued to win in the league. Ryan and Anthony's combination of attack and defense is not in the same league as other players of the same age. So, everything after that was no surprise. Until reaching the final, Oak Mountain High School never suffered a defeat. Although it is known that the game is without suspense, on the day of the final, tens of thousands of fans still rushed to the scene. And like the previous match against St. Mary's High School, the audience was filled with North Carolina coach Matt Doherty, Kansas coach Roy Williams, and others. Amidst all the attention, Ryan and Anthony also lived up to expectations and scored a total of 62 points. Among them, Ryan scored 25 points and Angus scored 37 points, and the duo completely dominated the game. Ryan and Anthony didn't capsize in the fish pond game. A boring season of 29 wins and championships was born. Throughout his senior year, Ryan averaged 25.3 points, 12.8 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 6.3 blocks, and 1.4 steals per game. The terrifying number of blockades is like opening an internet-famous hot pot restaurant in Virginia. Don't be surprised, with Ryan's physical fitness, it's not an exaggeration to have such data in high school. When the opponent's height is shorter than yours and their athletic ability is much worse than yours, it's difficult for you to block them. In the words of the opposing coach, my team members are all crazy, queuing up one by one to block him and give him the ball. 29 wins and 0 losses, national live streaming defeats James, state champion Ryan and Anthony also drew an incredibly perfect conclusion to their high school career. But the whole world knows that just an honor from Virginia is too small for Ryan and Anthony. Their future is incredibly vast. Well, Ryan has received countless invitations from basketball schools. The decision of Ryan and Anthony is undoubtedly the most talked about topic among fans this summer. There are rumors that Ryan will also join Syracuse University and continue to conspire with Anthony. Some people also say that Ryan will go to Kansas because Coach Roy Williams has appeared too frequently in Oak Hill High this season. If you want to say that he has no ulterior motives towards Ryan, everyone won't believe it. But on the second day after the season ended, neither Ryan nor Anthony had much thought about the next stop. Anthony called Ryan early in the morning and said, "Ryan, come out for dinner and drink tonight. I made an appointment with a girl." To celebrate her successful graduation from high school, Angus specially called her girlfriend Lala and her peach best friend to Virginia. Originally, Antigua wanted to ask everyone to go to a high-end restaurant for a loan. After all, James's mother had already borrowed money to buy a Hummer before his son entered the NBA. But considering that she still has to attend college, Angus still didn't take this risk. After Anthony finished speaking, he heard Ryan on the other end of the phone panting roughly, accompanied by a popping sound. Mellon smiled and said, "Are you running, kid?" "Yes. Yes. Training. TSK, you literary scumbag. When that female fan hugged you after the award ceremony yesterday, I knew you were going to have an accident. While moving and making phone calls, Ryan, I didn't see that you're having fun. What are you talking about? I'm really running in the training center." At this moment, Angua also heard the physical fitness coaches shout on the phone, "Ryan, focus on it, hang up the phone." Anthony pursed his lips. "No, buddy, are you okay? Are you really training? You only won the championship yesterday, why did you start training again today, so what's wrong? Is great youth used for dating? Even dogs don't talk. Ryan, please don't give me any weird thoughts, just say you won't come tonight. I may arrive later tonight, you don't have to wait for me to eat. Okay, then we'll wait for you to drink. Anyway, today, you'll definitely get it. Don't hesitate, this girl is easy to get along with, and she also said that she doesn't care about skin color, as long as the job is good. No, good people are enough. Ryan secretly complained to himself that she didn't care about me. After hanging up the phone, Ryan began to focus on running circles. Although there is a system in place, Ryan's training has always been very diligent. Because of the experience gained from training and competition, the system can be upgraded. The more diligent the training, the more experience accumulated, and the earlier one can upgrade. And currently, Ryan's other attributes cannot be freely increased, so he can only improve his attributes through his own hard training. After this period of effort, Ryan has honed his mid-range attributes to 54. With just one more practice point, Ryan and Anthony's talent for receiving and pitching can achieve a mid-range attribute of 60 when receiving and pitching. He must develop the skill of Zhongtou, because when he goes to ABCD training camp next, Ryan doesn't have Anthony around and no one helps him score. Ryan really doesn't care about 29 wins and 0 losses in the league, the state championship. What Ryan cares about is the upcoming ABCD training camp. ABCD training camp is currently the most eye-catching, largest scale, and highest level high school basketball event in China. At this time, the popularity of ABCD training camp is even higher than that of Hook's basketball summit. From Kobe, McGrady, Garnett, to James and Anthony, these high school geniuses have all become famous since the ABCD training camp. Because the quota for the training camp is very precious, the ones invited are basketball elites gathered from all over the world. Children who can showcase their skills in this training camp will undoubtedly receive higher attention. The volume of traffic is incomparable to that of a local high school state champion. So, Ryan, who was invited to attend, naturally wanted to seize this opportunity. Moreover, in the training camp, there is also the first high school student who is about to participate in the draft, Stoudemire. Is that Stoudemire? That's just Ryan's stepping stone. In theory, players who are about to participate in the draft will not come to this training camp to join the fun. But Stoudemire accepted many training camp invitations without hesitation in order to build momentum and improve his position. And Ryan's goal is very simple, he wants to perform better than Xiao Si in the training camp. Previously, at Oak Hill High School, Ryan's fame had been overshadowed by Anthony. No matter how well he plays, he is under Anthony's halo. This ABCD training camp is the perfect opportunity for Ryan to defeat Xiao Si alone. He wants to prove that even without Anthony, he can still win. So Ryan crazily urged himself to practice mid-range shooting, just to have an additional scoring method in ABCD training camp and to have an impact on the offensive side without relying on Anthony. The trainer couldn't help but smile as he looked at Ryan, who was sweating profusely. Most high school seniors like Ryan either participate in the draft or are surrounded by prestigious NCAA schools and float around. But Ryan, he actually came to train the day after winning the championship. This child I will definitely make a difference in the future. It wasn't until 7:30 p.m. that Ryan left the training center dragging his tired body. But he didn't immediately go find Anthony. In fact, Ryan didn't go to dinner with Angu because he had already made an appointment. Upon arriving at the agreed-upon location, Ryan realized that it was just an ordinary restaurant that could no longer be ordinary. But inside were all black uncles wearing suits and sunglasses, each with a sturdy physique. Besides, there are no other guests in the restaurant. Ryan swallowed his saliva, and this Nima am I being targeted by CIA agents about being a traveler. After shaking his head and ending his childish daydreams, Ryan walked into the restaurant. Several strong men saw Ryan and gave way one after another. Ryan walked through them and sat on a card seat. Across from him, a plain-looking bald black man smiled at Ryan and said, "Hello, Lion King Ryan." "Hello, Wesley." "That's right, Ryan is here to meet a reliable agent." William Weasley, the NBA's invisible godfather, was selected by ESPN as one of the most powerful people in the sports world of Ugly Country. This mysterious person from an ordinary background is very unique because no one knows how this small sports goods salesman gradually established his own network in the NBA. People probably only know that when he was young, he met Jordan through many friends, and when Jordan first joined the league, he supported his playboy Wesley, who was responsible for organizing various private parties for himself, providing various private entertainment projects and shuttle services for NBA players. This has gradually made Wesley a bridge figure between NBA players and the business, entertainment, and real world, and his influence is also increasing. He often handles player transfers and trades, and even the ugly National Basketball Association has to persuade those football stars to go out for the country. In the 1990s, when Falk dominated the world through his role as Jordan's agent, he never imagined that a little boy named Wesley in Jordan's training camp would soar to fame in the future. Of course, it is illegal for high school players, college players, and agents to be involved. But William Weasley, he is not a direct agent. He often only interacts with players as a friend. The identity of the agent was handed over to his good friend Leon Ross Iverson, and even to someone who had been James's agent for a period of time. But almost everyone knows that Ryan Ross is just Wesley's shadow agent. The real mastermind behind the scenes is Wesley. Removing the identity of the agent allows him to have more freedom in many aspects. For example, now when he meets Ryan as a friend, he will not violate any rules at all. Wesley found Ryan, naturally hoping to cooperate. This bald guy showed a very kind smile, but his speech was straightforward. "Ryan, I'm really glad you could come. I have watched your matches and you may become the most outstanding foreign player in the league. I'm sorry, due to various regulations, we cannot provide you with any financial or material support at the moment. But if you're willing to make friends with me, Ryan, believe me, we can further enhance your influence in the basketball world." Ryan knows that Wesley didn't blow Lou by, he has this ability. It is said that Ajan was able to sign a $90 million endorsement contract with Guzzi before entering the alliance, with his involvement. During Leon Ross's tenure as James' agent, Ajax's influence also visibly increased. As a professional player, just being strong is really not enough. You can't get angry without a good team behind you. Taking Angwa as an example, he was a high school genius who led his team to win the championship in his freshman year, and led his team to the playoffs in his first year in the NBA. What is the result? The best rookie gave data similar to Angwa, but did not make it to the playoffs. To put it simply, Angus has some strength, but the team behind him is much worse than James. Ryan wants to become bigger and stronger, but of course, he also needs a professional and influential team. Wesley is well aware that internationalization will be a major wave in the upcoming NBA. With Ryan's playing style and strength, the commercial value is definitely not low. In his circle, there must be a sufficiently influential international player. If he doesn't take it, it will be a waste of money for others. Ryan needs to enhance his influence, and Wesley's team needs Ryan's commercial value to make money. Both sides take what they need and achieve mutual benefit and win-win results. Wesley knew that sincerity was important in building a relationship with a talented player, so he didn't say much nonsense. "Ryan, we know you're going to the ABCD training camp to participate in a competition against Stoudemire next. Starting from tomorrow, you will see newspapers all over the country hyping up this game. And if you can win, I guarantee that within a day, every child in the ugly world will know Ryan from the height of Oak Mountain. Whether we can cooperate in the end will be discussed later, but at least for now, dear Ryan, give us a chance to show our sincerity. Give us a chance to make friends." 2 hours later, Ryan rushed to the bar where Angu was located. More precisely, it is a restaurant that also sells alcohol. After all, at Angu's current age, he still can't get into a bar. When he saw Ryan, Anthony immediately helped him take the bag from his shoulder and whispered in Ryan's ear. "God, you look like a disheveled, drowning dog. Everyone said they have a girl today, why don't you tidy up?" Ryan had no interest in the black girl in front of him. His mind was now full of Stoudemire and Wesley's operations, so he lazily replied, "I'm handsome even if I don't tidy up." Anthony pouted silently and then began to introduce. "This is my handsome and strong buddy, little lion Ryan. Ryan, this is my girlfriend Lala, and this is her best friend Rebecca." Rebecca was clearly interested in Ryan, a muscular and handsome guy, and took the initiative to extend her hand, saying, "Nice to meet you." Ryan shook hands politely, nodded lightly, and quickly shifted his gaze away. To be honest, Rebecca's figure is indeed quite impressive. This peach, Deng Gu, can lose 5 pounds overnight. But Ryan's only dream now is to become a big football star. Women seem somewhat dull in front of this. Ryan ordered a glass of juice and is going to ABCD training camp next, so he didn't drink alcohol. And he can't buy alcohol either. Seeing that Ryan seemed to have little interest in black peaches, Angu could only talk to Ryan about NCAA. "How are you thinking, buddy? Come with me to Syracuse University. As long as I say to the coach, if my brother can't go, then I won't go either, they will definitely give you a full scholarship. You and I work together, can't we just fuck all the college students?" Ryan deliberately frowned and said, I haven't figured it out yet. Well, after all, the school that invited me has also been arranged from here to California." Cut, speak as if someone is not. During the conversation, on the restaurant's TV, ESPN was interviewing this year's draft sensation. Amare Stoudemire, the top high school student in the all-ugly world. In front of the camera, Stoudemire was very confident. "I am very confident in becoming the top scorer." "Who is that from China?" "Leon." "Wayne." "Oh, yes, Yao Ming. I don't know why he is the top scorer, but I can definitely easily defeat him. As long as he competes with me once, people will know who should be the top scorer." Find Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, the reporter quickly reminded. No, Amare, your current opponent is not Yao, but Ryan. The genius in Oak Mountain, the guy who defended LeBron with 9 points in a single game. He was also invited to the ABCD training camp, and you may become opponents. Do you think you have the confidence to defeat him? Ajan, who is also watching TV in Akron, expressed his frustration. "A single game of 9 points won't make it through, right? Is it only when I have 8 points in a single game that you won't mention this?" After listening to the reporter's words, Stoudemire smiled in front of the camera. It's the kind of disdainful, mocking smile. "Ryan. Who? I haven't heard of it before." "No matter who he is, it's best not to get involved, otherwise he will die quickly. Cameron also ranks second below me in the national ranking, and what does his assistant Ryan count for? I will easily handle him, like a basket over the sky." Anthony clenched his fists tightly, and he had always been resentful of not ranking as well as Xiao Si. After all, he and Xiao Si have never competed in the same game before, why do you put me behind him? But soon, Anthony's emotions calmed down again and he glanced at Ryan. "Ryan, will you handle him well in training camp?" Ryan took a sip of the juice, and if he could defeat Xiao Si and add Wesley's hype, this opportunity must not be missed. "Don't worry, Guagua. You won't hear him spouting in front of us again." Anthony laughed mischievously, first high school student. "Wait, you're going to have bad luck soon." 7th teammate 58. "In the next round, I will make you, thank you for smiling so." You are listening at novelfull.audio. Every summer, various high school training camps and star games are the focus of attention for scouts and college coaches. Because in these competitions, you can see geniuses from different states and countries gathered together, competing head-on against each other. Just like a few years ago, everyone thought Tyson Chandler was already a young insider at the ceiling level. As a result, the mysterious power from the East made people see that Chandler seemed to be nothing more than that. As the saying goes, it is only when a mule is pulled out by a horse that one knows. When going to the fruit market, you also have to arrange items in rows for physical selection. At various summer training camps and star games, geniuses from different competitions will most directly show everyone who is the winner. No matter how much comparison is made, it's better to have a real fight with real knives and guns. High school geniuses also know that this is a great opportunity for fame. Stoudemire thought so. Because of the transfer, he only led the team to a record of 16 wins and 13 losses last season. Obviously, this is not a particularly convincing achievement. Although he can still score an average of 29 points, 15 rebounds, and 6 blocks per game, the true GOAT is all about results, not just personal data. So Stoudemire is extremely eager to tell the world at ABCD training camp, just give me a bunch of average-level teammates, and I can go all out. But now, there is an obstacle in front of Xiao Si. Ryan. I don't know why, overnight, all ugly newspapers, even basketball programs, were talking about the match between Ryan and Serena at ABCD training camp. Commentators like Barkley, Kenny Smith, and others seem to receive some kind of command, always occasionally mentioning phrases like, I really want to watch the game between Stoudemire and Ryan. So much so that during the start of the NBA Finals, ABCD training camp actually stole a lot of traffic. Ryan versus Bruce, it's like Ali versus Fraser in the boxing world of the 1970s, attracting global attention. Xiao Si still has a bit of a buzz. He knows he's very hot, but he's far from that level. In terms of popularity, he is far behind Anthony and James. Overnight, this competition became so hot that I felt it seems that there is an invisible pusher behind, using terrifying force to hype up this confrontation to the point of national attention. And Ryan is well aware that this is Wesley showing off his abilities. Because just before Ryan went to training camp, he received a call from Wesley's shadow agent Leon Ross. Uncle Wes asked you to focus on the game, and leave the rest to us. Ryan embarked on the journey of defeating the first high school student, and as soon as he got off the plane, he was surrounded by reporters and fans. It seems that hype is effective, as countless fans and scouts gather here to catch a glimpse of the passionate spark between Ryan and Serena. Amidst the crowd, Ryan walked into the training center. On the first day of training camp, all the talents will be assigned to different teams, get to know their coaches and teammates, and have their first joint training. After completing the division, Ryan looked at the training ground to see if there were any familiar players among his teammates. Finally, a guy who was short and thin, wearing sports shorts that he had turned into cropped pants, entered Ryan's field of vision. Because there are many players in ABCD training camp, and each player's jersey number cannot be the same, so that scouts and fans can identify them. So, the jersey numbers inside the training camp are all 3-digit numbers. And the jersey number, 058, behind that dwarf is like a symbol of his identity. Ryan walked up and patted the guy who seemed to be just over 1.7 meters. Chris Paul. The dwarf turned back in surprise, as if surprised that someone knew him. Seeing Ryan, who was famous throughout the country, Paul showed a look of admiration like a little fan. Ryan. I know you, the high school superstar who defended LeBron from scoring 9 points in a single game. It's just a trivial victory. Wait, our jersey colors are the same, you and I are on the same team. Great. We can definitely defeat Stoudemire now. I'm here to do this, but I want you to help me with a small matter. As soon as Leon finished speaking, the scene became restless, and the sound of the camera shutter kept ringing. Almost all the reporters gathered towards one person, and that person was naturally Stoudemire. The other high school geniuses are now being left out, and Stoudemire seems to be completely out of class with the others. Xiao Si is wearing a suit and sunglasses, very star-like. After entering, he looked around as if looking for a target. Finally, he walked straight to Ryan. Ryan didn't have stage fright. Faced with the threatening Xiao Si, he held his head high and looked straight into the other person's eyes. Xiao Si and Ryan pressed their faces against each other, took off their sunglasses, and put them in their pockets. Cherish them, you'll only be able to see me on TV in the future, they said after speaking. Xiao Si left Ryan's side and intentionally bumped him with his shoulder. Xiao Si has this virtue. Although Ryan has never offended him at all, the whole world is comparing Ryan to him, making him feel insulted. He wants to tell the world that he is a unique strong person. In the original history, Yao Ming did not provoke him at all. But because I am not convinced that Yao Ming is the top scorer, I always take the initiative to find fault. Xiao Si's arrogant demeanor made many players on site very unhappy. Everyone was muttering beside them. What kind of thing? This is the basketball court, he came here for a walk. Watch him go crazy. Damn it, what are you dragging? Last season, Ryan won all 29 games. He lost more than a dozen games, so it's good to pretend to be forced. However, most people can only hold back if they can't stand Xiao Si anymore, because they all know that they really can't beat Xiao Si. And Paul, who was as competitive as a madman, knew that if he wanted to take out Z, he had to turn to Ryan. Ryan, you just said you wanted me to do something small. Don't say anything, as long as you can win him, I'll promise you even 10 things. Okay, can you help me kill someone? Hahaha, this matter is too simple for me. Come on, how many eggs should I pinch? Ryan. Ryan originally wanted to make a joke, but he didn't expect Paul to be really skilled. Just kidding, there's no need to kill. In tomorrow's game, you just need to help me pass the right ball at the right time. As for the rest, leave it to me. Then, prepare to enjoy victory. Paul nodded hard and assisted his teammate. Isn't that my biggest strength besides breaking eggs? Seeing that he had successfully recruited Paul, Ryan felt a sense of joy in his heart. His biggest concern before was not finding a good ball handler. After all, Ryan's own passing and control abilities are not strong, and he does not have the ability to hold the ball and break through pressure. Without a good ball handler, Ryan's ability to play without the ball cannot be fully realized. Now that it's good, with Paul helping to pass and control, you can fully unleash it. During this period, although Paul's scoring ability was not very strong, his height was only around 1.7 meters. But his organizational talent has already begun to emerge. As long as you have a chance to run, the ball will definitely be delivered. After the afternoon training, Ryan continued to stay in the training center and practice crazily. He didn't sweat in vain, and finally, on the first day of the game, he trained his mid-range shooting skills to 55. Paired with Angu's talent shards, Ryan's attributes can temporarily reach 60 when receiving and shooting from mid-range. Next, let's wait for tomorrow's competition. After the training is over, leave the basketball court. Ryan was surprised to find that some journalists were actually guarding him. When they saw Ryan, they all gathered excitedly. Ryan, are you nervous about tomorrow's group match against Stoudemire? There's nothing to be nervous about. Although you don't directly face each other, your attacking style is mainly focused on attacking the basket, and tomorrow you will inevitably face Stoudemire's strong interception. Are you really not worried that your performance will be disappointing? Of course not to worry, after all, I haven't lost this season. Some people, on the other hand, have lost 13 games, more than the total of my 4 years in high school combined. He thought he was already a superstar who looked down upon others, but let's wait and see. This is the first time that someone dares to respond positively to Stoudemire's arrogance. The next morning, Cho saw what Ryan said in an interview. Ryan realized that he was just farting in front of the camera and would be heavily reported the next day. It seems that Wesley has a wide network of contacts and knows many people in the news media industry. Ryan's words naturally reached Xiao Si's ear, and he responded disdainfully. Record. Oh, how many games would he have won if he hadn't hugged Cameron Anthony's thigh? Xiao Si still looks like the best in the world and disdains Ryan very much. He couldn't beat Yao Ming, he couldn't beat you, a weak high school chicken. Is it Ryan rubbing the first high school student on the ground, or is it Stoudemire crushing Ryan completely? Everyone is looking forward to it. Not only fans, but also scouts from various universities closely watched this match. Although Ryan had killed Ajan before, Ajan was still one generation younger than Ryan. It is normal for senior players to win over junior players during high school and college. After all, children at this age have the same physical condition every year. But this time, Ryan's opponent is also a high school graduate named Stoudemire. And most importantly, Ryan doesn't have Anthony by his side. So, whether Ryan can stand alone or not, this game will be a very important reference. The stadium was bustling with people, but Ryan had become accustomed to the atmosphere of the game. Although ABCD training camp has professional coaches to take care of children, it is essentially no different from playing wild ball. Because everyone will compete to showcase themselves, demonstrating that they are at the forefront of executing tactics. In fact, the coach did not assign too many tactics. Therefore, the team's tactics can be assumed to be, just pick up the loopholes in the gap between Ryan and Stoudemire. Everyone is here to see them both. Ryan walked onto the court and lightly punched Paul. Stoudemire, on the other hand, was out of place with his teammates and appeared particularly isolated. But he doesn't care, he considers himself a quasi-NBA level player and can easily crush a group of high school students. At the beginning of the game, Xiao Si relied on his unparalleled terrifying body to compete for basketball. And in the first round, turn your back to demand the ball from a mid-range position. But to Xiao Si's surprise, Ryan actually took the initiative to defend himself, directly facing him. At Oak Hill High School, Ryan mostly plays in the third or fourth position. But today, Ryan went straight to position 5 and challenged Stoudemire. Ryan is well aware that no one present can defend Xiao Si. Although his skills during this period were still somewhat rough, he was able to average 13 points per game as a rookie in the NBA with his physical strength. So, only Ryan can handle him. Xiao Si also showed some enthusiasm and saw someone who voluntarily came to see him off for the first time. Okay, I will fulfill you. Proactively defend me. Do you really consider yourself a person? Xiao Si was not polite and directly headed towards Ryan, who was half a head shorter than him, to chisel into the basket. And he didn't forget to raise his elbow and forcefully hit Ryan's chest. The audience at the scene held their breath, but the clever Ryan was about to become the first sacrifice under Xiao Si today. Most opponents, being challenged by Xiao Si, either fly half a meter away directly or dare not defend anymore. Surprisingly, Ryan still stubbornly sticks to Xiao Si's side. He bravely withstood Xiao Si's impact. Damn it! Unconvinced, Xiao Si cursed inwardly and then continued to dig deeper. The second time, he used even greater force to collide with Ryan. With a muffled thud, Ryan was pushed back half a step. Just like just now, Ryan immediately clung tightly to it, leaving little Z helpless. He was like Rodman entwined with a magic shark, completely imprisoning Xiao Si. Xiao Si was already very thin during this period, and his entire career was not the kind of back-and-back type insider. Therefore, it is impossible for Ryan to achieve a strength attribute of 90. He, who was used to overeating in high school, thought he could crush Ryan in the same way, but he was completely wrong. College coaches and scouts also have their eyes lit up, and it has been proven that Ryan is not inferior to any NBA-level players in the competition. Unable to lift Ryan, Xiao Si had to turn around and wipe under the basket, ready to use his athletic ability to forcefully dunk. The result is clear, Ryan's athletic ability is no less than that of Xiao Si. Ryan, who had just jumped up and dunked heavily, had an extremely abnormal speed and arm span. With even stronger strength, he directly rewarded him with a volleyball dunk. This wave, Xiao Si belongs to the category of dressing up on Ryan's strengths. The live commentator stood up from the table and said, "Slam dunk." Ryan devastated the first high school student in the first round of defense. Beast forward Stoudemire didn't have any advantage over Ryan. After the basketball was covered, it happened to fall into the hands of player 058. Ryan turned around and ran forward with all his strength. Stoudemire chased behind, gritting his teeth. He can't believe he couldn't beat Anthony's horse in singles. How dare you dare to take on me? I must also cast a psychological shadow on you. Starting from this attack. Just as he was thinking about it, Stoudemire saw a basketball fly over his head and head straight for Ryan. Ryan understood and found Xiaoyuan www.zhaoxuyuan.com to jump high and steadily catch the basketball in the air. Xiao Si was taken aback, and this Nima is it a direct air relay to pass the ball so far? Who passed it so accurately? Surprisingly, I sent out an empty pass through me. That's naturally a pass from player 058, it's too simple for him. Stoudemire also jumped up, but it was too difficult to take the opportunity to catch up. When Xiao Si waved his hand to block the ball, Ryan had already smashed his hands vigorously towards the basket. Immediately after, the whole audience heard a loud bang. A full-court air relay. The connection between Chris Paul and Ryan from player 058 is perfect. Paul passed the ball very high, but Ryan still received it. What a terrible physical condition. Stoudemire's attack failed, but instead Ryan scored first. First high school student, we're in big trouble now. Ryan let go, landed, and pointed to Paul as a gesture of gratitude. Then he picked up the basketball, stuffed it into Stoudemire's hand, and pointed it at his nose. Don't look like that. I was really too serious just now. Don't worry, I will let you down in the next round. Ryan pointed at the angry scene of Xiao Si's nose, making the fans on site even more excited. This Ryan always makes the game more intense. Wesley, who was watching the live broadcast, also smiled. Ryan himself was a raging fire, and all he needed to do was add some more firewood, and it would burn even louder. The fans and college coaches on site were all full of enthusiasm. Judging from Ryan's performance in the first two rounds, he is definitely not here to give NBA-level players experience. Tonight, there's a great show to watch. 8. Double explosive attack and defense on both ends. The 3 draft will greatly change the situation. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Ryan faced off against Stoudemire, completed a bloodthirsty run, and teamed up with Paul to perform a seamless aerial coordination throughout the game. Before the game, everyone felt that this was a stage belonging to Stoudemire. But at the beginning, Ryan told the world, I am the protagonist of this year's ABCD training camp. The lamb that was originally waiting to be slaughtered broke free from its chains and even launched an attack with its horns. The enthusiasm of fans and college coaches has been raised. If Ryan can compete with a quasi-NBA level player, then he will have to continue killing in college. It is not an exaggeration to say that Stoudemire is at the quasi-NBA level. After all, Xiao Si is going to participate in the draft this year and has a good chance of being selected in the lottery. But just now, Xiao Si's strong attack on the inside was not at all advantageous in front of Ryan. You know, Ryan's not playing inside yet. So hard, if I go to college, I won't rule over all college basketball players and female college students. Player 058, who has completely transformed into a Ryan fan, shouted crazily on the field, well done Ryan, kick out that arrogant idiot's butt. Seeing Ryan scolding the arrogant young man at the beginning, Paul wanted to worship Ryan as his adoptive father. Xiao Si looked at Ryan, who was pointing at his nose and spitting trash, as well as the fans applauding for Ryan around him and the cheers of other players, and suddenly felt his face turn pale. I am the first high school student in the all-ugly category and a prospective NBA player. Surprisingly, he was fucked by the second high school student's paparazzi. It's rumored that my draft ranking cannot plummet. Xiao Si is very angry now. James lost to Ryan, and he can urgently claim that it is because he is 1 year younger than Ryan. But if Xiao Si wants to lose to Ryan, there is no excuse. Xiao Si impatiently ran towards the front court, continued to sit on the inside line and raised his hand to demand the ball, wanting to immediately retaliate. It is obvious that Xiao Si has not yet realized that his face frame is actually more threatening than his back. He is still immersed in the simple thought of crushing everything with his back from the past. Little did they know that his physical advantage was no longer of much use to Ryan. In fact, most high school geniuses who go to NCAA or NBA will run into the rookie wall. Because of their proud physique, they don't have such a big advantage in higher level competitions. Basketball games are always competitive sports, and if the competition is not at the same level, even with good skills, it is useless. Except for players like Ajax or O'Neal who can still rely on their bodies to crush opponents across different levels, most players need to readjust to higher level games. However, Stoudemire didn't expect to bump into this rookie wall at ABCD training camp, so he was unprepared. After receiving the basketball, Stoudemire awkwardly chose to turn over and jump shot when he saw that he had just hit the ball for half a day and was still stuck in place. But Ryan's projectile speed was too fast, almost covering his palm in front of Xiao Si at the same time. Xiao Si made a hasty move, although avoiding the fate of being blocked again, the basketball also brushed past the basket and fell into the bottom line. 3 No touch, Ryan directly defended Xiao Si in the second round. 3 No touch. 1 hat after 3, not touching, the whole room is restless. The first high school student in front of Ryan is like the first middle school student. The live commentator also wiped his sweat and said, "I'm afraid even if NBA players come, we'll have to face Ryan. If it weren't for Xiao Si's dark skin, everyone should be able to see him blushing all over now." Ryan looked at the basketball that flew out of bounds and shook his head, calmly muttering to himself. If it weren't for Yao Ming in the 2002 draft, how poor would the quality be? Even someone like him could win the lottery. Xiao Si's mouth twitched and said, "What are you muttering about?" "Ah, I'm sorry, I'm not targeting you. What I mean is that this draft, except for Yao Ming, is all about lust. And you are the lust in lust." Ryan usually doesn't easily argue with high school students, but his previous provocations made Ryan very unhappy. So, he must make himself happy again. Xiao Si was furious and said, "You're done. You can't even score 1 more point today." Xiao Si, who used to play center, decided to go to his mother's protection frame and his mother's assistant's defense. He is going to mark Ryan throughout the game today and make Ryan pay the price. Xiao Si believes that his defense is invincible in the world. After all, he is tall and has long arms, but also agile and able to jump. In high school games, Xiao Si was indeed a defensive powerhouse. But as is well known, Stoudemire, who entered the NBA, had nothing to do with the words, "good defense," throughout his life. His defensive habits are as bad as Anthony's. Just in high school, his physical fitness was so strong that he could easily humiliate opponents without any good defensive habits. 1 inch long and 1 inch strong, when you are long enough and powerful enough, you can make the other person want to die without any skills. But facing Ryan, Xiao Si's body not only lacks an advantage on the offensive end, but also lacks an advantage on the defensive end. In the next ball, Ryan just ran back and threw half of his body away from Xiao Si, straight into the basket. Egg dismantling expert Paul also showed his talent and coincidentally delivered the ball to Ryan's hand. Ryan descended the frame and raised the basketball with both hands. Xiao Si gritted his teeth and jumped up with all his might. He has done this kind of thing countless times. He loves to destroy people's basketball dreams the most. But when Xiao Si flew up, he realized that Ryan was just making a fake pitch and didn't jump at all. Xiao Si, a bouncing man, has a perfect timing. After Xiao Si glided out of the bottom line, Ryan suddenly burst into place, smashing and forcefully pulling the frame with both hands to score. Xiao Si has already been scored 2 goals by Ryan, and this goal was slapped on the face, which is even more shameful. The most shameful thing is Xiao Si just shouted that he won't let Ryan get even 1 more point. As a result, Nima's face was slapped so quickly. Xiao Si was feeling frustrated when he heard Ryan's voice again. "You really didn't ask me to get another point, because I always get 2 or 2 points. Put in more effort, first high school student. I'm starting to feel that the competition is a bit boring." At this moment, the whole world is waiting for Stoudemire to respond. As the first high school student, being defended twice and scoring 2 goals on such a big stage, what should you do? Xiao Si also knows that he must score as soon as possible, he is more anxious than everyone else. I saw him break through the frame this time, leaning against Ryan and forcefully attacking the frame. But in Ryan's tough confrontation, Xiao Si crossed the bridge directly on the offensive end. Stoudemire, Chi-Chi's former spokesman of the world's largest crossing the bridge noodles. Xiao Si doesn't need to be standardized to join the Chinese team, just assimilate. Confused, Stoudemire has never been so embarrassed in his life. Previously, he could directly dunk his opponent with this type of ball. But today, he was hit in the air and couldn't even make a layup. After taking a second jump and grabbing the rebound, Ryan handed the ball back to player 058. Stoudemire didn't have time to get discouraged and immediately followed Ryan. This time he defended extremely seriously, no matter how Ryan ran without the ball, Xiao Si was closely following him. It's not an exaggeration to say that this is the most serious defensive turn in Stoudemire's 4 years of high school. Ryan repeated his old tricks, running backwards, cutting the basket, receiving the ball, fake shooting, and preparing to finish. Just this time, Ryan's virtual swaying under the basket failed to shake little C. No matter how bad his defensive habits are, Stoudemire is not mentally retarded and cannot be cheated twice in a row. Seeing Xiao Si still standing firm under the basket, Ryan did not strengthen either. Don't underestimate your opponent, this is a major criterion for winning. Ryan is well aware that if this situation were to escalate directly, Xiao Si would bleed. So, he passed the ball back to Paul and then turned around to run to a mid-range position. Xiao Si hesitated for a moment, but ultimately did not follow up. Because he is very clear that Ryan actually doesn't have much offensive means, and most of the goals are scored within the penalty area. As long as he doesn't eat anything and stays under the basket, Ryan will be at a loss. In order to humiliate Ryan, Stoudemire not only did not follow, but also carried his hands behind his back, looking like, I can't even throw you if I let you. The scouts on site were also curious. How would Ryan break the deadlock without Anthony and being blocked from the basket? Ryan received a pass from Paul on the left side of the free throw line, and in the face of Xiao Si's provocation, he didn't hesitate to take a shot. In front of the TV, Anthony covered his head and said, "Oh my, you kid got into a thrilling situation." Angua is well aware that his half-brother's shooting is just as bad as his own defense. Roy Williams sighed, it seemed that Ryan was just a bouncing man. In this situation, if someone deliberately asks you to shoot and you don't have the ability to do so, isn't that just hitting the nail on the head? Basketball IQ still needs improvement. Xiao Si smiled and smiled, his extremely humiliating defense, coupled with the iron work later, could make Ryan feel embarrassed and even pick his feet. But the next second, it was Xiao Si who was awkwardly picking his feet. Because Ryan took a mid-range jump shot and fell steadily into the net. Xiao Si saw the basketball enter the net and swallowed saliva. Isn't he without a basket? This is the clown actually me. Xiao Si's backhanded defense result made it easy for the opponent to score goals, which naturally made the on.site fans and commentators laugh. What is Amare doing? He actually picked up his hands and let Ryan shoot. I don't know what qualifications he has to contemplate Ryan at this moment. Ryan has already scored 6 points, 1 rebound, and 1 block on his head. Even without Anthony, Ryan would have almost killed Stoudemire. Xiao Si gritted his teeth, damn it, this guy's luck is too good. Roy Williams also thought the same, Ryan was just lucky just now. He has been studying Ryan for a long time, and he has detailed match data for Ryan. Ryan had a shooting percentage of 3 out of 15 in mid-range last season. That's right, I made 3 mid-range shots in a season, and 90% of my points were under the basket. He doesn't have any shooting ability at all, as long as Xiao Si insists on sticking to the basket, Ryan won't be able to play anymore. In order to prove that Ryan was just lucky, Serena didn't defend against Ryan's backrun from the center shot for 3 consecutive rounds. The result is 4 out of 4 shots. Ryan was incredibly helpful at mid-range today. Stoudemire can't defend like this anymore. Ryan has already scored 12 points. At the beginning, with a score of 12.0, Ryan completely defeated Stoudemire on both ends of the attack and defense. Ryan looked at his hand, and his efforts during this period were not in vain. Moreover, Angu's talent fragments are really useful. On the stands, Kansas coach Roy Williams, who had been keeping an eye on Ryan, felt his face swollen. One shot and one hit may be luck, but just now, Ryan was able to hit 4 from mid-range with a chance, and this shot was definitely not a mistake. Roy Williams recalled that before, the media had been reporting on Ryan's daily practice. Is it difficult that Ryan has been practicing more during this period, which is shooting? And, is there still an effect? Without Anthony, Ryan, who has trained at mid-range, can even fight alone at Xiaoyuan www.xiaoxuyuan.com. Xiao Si can score 12.0. This guy, he still has a lot of room for improvement. The on.site commentator was completely disappointed with Xiao Si and instead admired Ryan immensely. So, when Xiao Si's team paused the game, the live commentator gave Ryan the highest evaluation. LeBron, Cameron, Ryan, if they all participate in the 2003 draft. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a premonition. Another golden generation is about to be born. People have not yet realized that they have placed Ryan, who has only been famous for less than a year, on par with those 2 super geniuses. The situation in the 2003 draft has quietly changed. After Ryan got off the field, Paul ran up to him and patted his chest, saying, "How's it going? Did I help you score well?" As I've said before, my passing is definitely not a problem. Ryan sneered and said, "What do you mean you're helping me score? I'm helping you score assists. You don't think I can't handle Xiao Si alone, do you? But, I like the feeling of teamwork, and I like to do my best to make my teammates enjoy the game. So, come on Chris, pass it to me well, and you will also become famous in one battle." Paul hesitated for a moment, feeling like something was wrong. But it seems like there's nothing wrong with it. "Ryan, you really so selfless." "Well, I'll pass it on to you. My adoptive father, help me get more assist data." Alright, next, there will be a top high school passer who has been lured and limped, constantly delivering ammunition to Ryan. And Ryan is about to face an opponent who doesn't even know how to defend. ABCD training camp has become Ryan's amusement park. 5 more points than Xiao Si. It's not 5 points, it's 5 times. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everyone knows that Ryan has invincible physical fitness, but his skills are rough and he doesn't know how to shoot. Especially when placed with Anthony, the technique becomes even rougher. Everyone knows that Stoudemire has a strong physical fitness, but his defensive habits are poor. But those few rounds just now completely shattered people's understanding. Originally, Ryan's shooting wasn't as bad as he had imagined. Originally, Stoudemire's defense was even worse than imagined. If it's just a ball, then there's not much to boast about. After all, even Big Ben, the essence of human shooting, occasionally hits in the middle. An occasional hit is likely just luck. But Ryan, just now he hit 4 consecutive hitters. Although Ryan has only been receiving and shooting so far, it's already enough. Think about it, a Hamilton with stronger athletic ability and stronger defense. A combination of Masked Man and UFO. Is this not allowed to take off directly? To be honest, Ryan can be so accurate, and Xiao Si cannot say that he has no credit at all. After all, Ryan's mid-range shooting ability, even with the addition of hot zone bonuses, is only just 60. However, the skeptical Stoudemire intentionally missed out and gave Ryan a big empty spot in a row. Ryan is not sure who is right. The first high school student had no fighting ability in front of Ryan, as they finished with a score of 12.0 to defeat the young player. ABCD training camp always brings surprises and surprises. The game quickly restarted, and after returning, Xiao Si finally scored a goal with a strong attack on Fong Mang. But now Xiao Si's main problem is in defense. He is still 10 points behind Ryan. Offensive and defensive exchanges, player 058 is still steadily controlling the ball, waiting for Ryan to run. Ryan just tasted the sweetness and became much more confident in his shooting. So once again, Ryan cut to the basket but suddenly ran back to the mid-range position, ready to continue his jump shot. This time, Stoudemire did not dare to sit idly by. He followed closely and it was obvious that he had started to fear Ryan's center throw. Ryan had not even had time to catch the ball after running to a mid-range position, but was already being closely pressed by Xiao Si. Seeing this situation, Ryan signaled to player 058 and made a feigned move to catch the ball. After deceiving Xiao Si to reach out and steal the pass, he quickly cuts in. After 2 consecutive backruns, Ryan once again shook off Stoudemire. When Xiao Si was concerned about Ryan's middle pitcher, he had to withdraw from the penalty area. And this precisely created conditions for Ryan to attack the basket. Now, the only thing Stoudemire can pray for is that the ball won't be fed into Ryan's hands in such a timely manner. It's just a pity that Ryan doesn't want to score, and Paul still wants to score assists. Player 058 hit the ground and passed the ball right into Ryan's hand as he cut in. Under the basket, a guy Ryan didn't know skillfully raised his arms high in an attempt to protect the frame. But when Ryan jumped up, the fate of this passerby was already predetermined. Becoming Ryan's backdrop will be the most glorious moment of his basketball career. The only one on this field who has a chance to stop Ryan from attacking the frame is Xiao Si. As for the others, it's just a matter of praying mantis taking the lead. Ryan jumped up and slammed his body into the opponent blocking the basket, completing the dunk without any surprise. 14.2, Ryan's personal score is still far ahead. The live commentator did indeed notice Paul. That little point guard, who is just over 1.7 meters tall, has excellent passing awareness today. If he can maintain it, he is likely to become the best point guard in the high school basketball field in the coming years. Ryan continues to score goals, and Stoudemire has not defended Ryan even once today. Ryan's physical fitness is explosive, and it is already well known to everyone. But today, Ryan's mid-range shot and excellent ball free-footed awareness both impressed the scouts. Ryan's moves are actually not many, but they can always be targeted. This directly widened the gap between Ryan and those brainless jumping men. All the fans around were applauding Ryan. Most cameras are also following Ryan's movements. At this moment, he has become the most dazzling star at this year's ABCD training camp. Xiao Si saw everything in his eyes, clenching his fists and trembling slightly. This is my stage, my stage. How could a player with the prospect of becoming the top scorer be trampled on by an unknown person like you? Xiao Si became anxious, and he completely lost patience and thinking on the offensive end. This time in the attack, Xiao Si even saved the step of taking a position and even wanted to play single against Ryan directly outside the 3-point line. To be honest, looking at Xiao Si's roughly rough ball control, Ryan couldn't help but try to steal several times. But ultimately, the will overcame the desire, and Ryan held it back and didn't get started with the work. After all, with his current stealing ability of less than 60, it is highly likely that if he steals the ball, he may not be able to grab it and make a foul, or he may be out of position directly. So, Ryan just patiently spread his arms out in front of Xiao Si, waiting for him to make his own mistake. Xiao Si didn't wait much. Instead he changed from early to backward and started accelerating directly. Ryan immediately moved sideways to block him, but now Xiao Si is a quasi-NBA player and weighs more than Ryan. Therefore, he leaned against Ryan and took a few hard steps inside. Ryan couldn't just force Smith to stop like he did against James before. But Xiao Si also realized that he couldn't possibly rely on Ryan to walk to the basket. There was no way, Xiao Si could only turn around and use it to pass Ryan. If it's a peak player, turning around and attacking the frame will definitely make Ryan struggle to defend. But now that this technology still needs polishing, Xiao Si turned around and was challenged by Ryan again unexpectedly. My center of gravity was unstable and I fell and sat on the ground. Undoubtedly a top high school student, they all beat their opponents, Xiao Si beat himself. With such a fall, Xiao Si naturally let go of the basketball and rolled out of the bottom line. On the stands, Xiao Si's agent, Happy Watson, directly covered his head. Let you show off your basketball skills, not your street dance skills. Amare, what are you doing today? I asked you to boost the market, but you ended up boosting Ryan's market. To be honest, if Ryan holds the ball and plays singles with Stoke, the result won't be much better than him. It's just the difference between landing on the buttocks or on the face. But Ryan wins because his mentality is more stable than Xiao Si's. No matter what, he insists on playing without the ball and doing what he is good at. After all, Ryan is a person of two worlds, and his mentality is definitely more mature than Xiao Si, a high school student. Ryan stood beside the fallen little S with a bewildered expression on his face, giving him a thumbs up on the ground. Hey buddy, AI's dribbling is not as good as 1/10 of yours. Now, the whole audience is holding their breath. Because no one knows what Ryan will do to Xiao Si today. At the beginning, it's already 14.2. If Xiao Si continues like this will lose without face. Prior to this, people's highest expectations for Ryan were to compete with a quasi-NBA level player like Stoke. But now, Ryan has already shattered the ceiling of his highest expectations. Ryan doesn't mind pushing inside again and breaking through this G-spot directly. Xiao Si is now trying to find a loophole to get in, and his face as a first high school student has been shattered in just a few rounds. But the cruelest thing on the basketball court is that you have no way to escape. Either take down the opponent or be taken down by the opponent. When the opponent goes crazy, if your strength is not enough, you can only stand up and be beaten. Xiao Si urgently needs a successful defense to ease his awkward cancer. He knows that Ryan is not good at ball possession and attack, so he deliberately uses a provocative approach. There's a way for us to hold the ball and fight it alone. What's the point of keeping that little dwarf feeding you the ball? But still that sentence, how could Ryan, who has been a person of two generations, be provoked by a little brat? Don't worry, Miss Amare. No matter what, I will fill you up immediately. What about you? Just lie down and enjoy it. Small C blush, Ryan, what are you talking about? He's just a pure high school student. Xiao Si's provocation failed and was instead provoked by Ryan, making him somewhat angry. Ryan follows the central idea of, you hit you, I hit me, and continues his own ball-free attack. The score ratio of the upper score is becoming increasingly exaggerated, with 16-2, 16-4, 16-6, 19-6, 21-6. Xiao Si doesn't mean he can't score, but he just can't catch up with Ryan. In the subsequent game, Xiao Si gave a reckless beating. In regular high school competitions, Xiao Si can still rely on his physical strength to defeat his opponents. But in a situation where the body does not dominate, Xiao Si's brainless recklessness has no effect other than increasing the number of irons he hits. In the first half of the game, Xiao Si ultimately scored 8 points, but his performance was only described as a disaster. So throughout the second half, Xiao Si's agent didn't let him play again. He is really afraid that if Xiao Si continues to fight like this, he will go straight from the first round to the second round. So after half-time, he told the coach not to send Xiao Si on the field anymore. So, Xiao Si's personal data came to a standstill. So much so that in the end, he only scored 8 points in the entire game at zhaosuiyuan.com. Xiao Si mocked Ajan, understood Ajan, and became Ajan. In the end, it's not as good as Ajan. Ajan can at least get a score of 9. With the cooperation of Paul, Ryan still played like a fish in water in the second half. Finally, Ryan, who had no opponents in the second half, scored 42 points in a single game, breaking the ABCD training camp record. Ryan's strength, coupled with Paul's pitching, makes scoring a breeze. 42 points, 13 rebounds, 5 blocks, Ryan's score is more than 5 times that of Xiao Si. All the fans were dumbfounded. Ryan is not 5 points more than Stoke, but 5 times more. He completely defeated the active top high school student and a quasi-NBA level player in a record-breaking way. The MVP, scoring champion, and rebounding champion of the previous training camp have become Ryan's stepping stones. Ryan is truly a Chinese player, just as stable as the Chinese men's basketball team. The men's basketball team is a commentator who cries every time, and Ryan is a genius who cries every time. Wesley, who was watching the game, nodded happily, scoring 42 points, breaking the ABCD training camp record. I really didn't take my eyes off. He knew that suspense was never about whether Ryan could play in the NBA, but about how Ryan would approach the game. Now, Ryan has proven that he has the strength. So whether we can go further next depends on Wesley's operation. Wesley believes that just being a prospective NBA player is not enough to be explosive. So what about making Ryan a serious NBA player? Wesley picked up his phone and began paving the way for the ascension of the Lion King. 10. Do you have the ability to play against NBA players? No. You are listening at novelfull.audio. ABCD training camp, with 42 points per game. The most crucial thing is that Xiao Si only scored 8 points. Breaking James' record of 9 points. These so-called super geniuses didn't even score double against Ryan. Although there was a reason why Xiao Si didn't play in the second half, he was completely defeated in the first half. After the game, Stoudemire's agent said that Stoudemire had a bad stomach the day before, which led to poor form and was also the reason for not playing in the second half. This statement broadened Ryan's horizons. Before the smart groin, Xiao Si had already used the smart 9-turn colon. 20 years ahead of the times. However, Xiao Si's excuse did not affect Ryan's popularity. After abusing Xiao Si in ABCD training camp, Ryan is no longer just a local tyrant in Virginia. The result of the brutal killing and winning, coupled with Wesley's operation, further fueled Ryan's fame in All Ugly. Major influential media have started reporting on Ryan's story. The New York Times used the largest page in the sports section to report on the game between Smith and Ryan, with the title, "Breaking the Record with 42 Points in a Single Game." Ryan is the 2003 semi-finalist. The Los Angeles media even used a horrifying headline. "The days of ugly basketball dominating the world come to an end." Under the promotion of various media outlets, All Ugly fans know that Ryan scored 5 times more than Stoudemire in his first game at ABCD training camp, breaking the record. Now all the fans who follow basketball in Cho are aware of Ryan. In fact, Ryan's popularity has even exceeded his own imagination. Early this morning, when he came out of the hotel room arranged by ABCD training camp to have breakfast, he found that an ESPN team was tracking and filming him throughout the entire process. From picking up food to eating, Ryan always follows a camera, which is particularly eye-catching among a group of young players. After finishing his meal, Ryan was about to go to the restroom, only to find that ESPN's filming team had followed him to the restroom door. Ryan was speechless and said, "You don't have to collect information about length, do you?" The photographer nodded apologetically and stayed outside the door. Ryan sighed, "Is this the trouble of becoming a celebrity? Damn it, just now because there was a camera shooting, Ryan didn't feel like taking more of the hotel's free buffet breakfast, afraid it might not look elegant enough. This wave has lost 1 billion. In the afternoon, Xiao Si's agent also officially announced that due to diarrhea, he needed to take a break, so Xiao Si decided to officially withdraw from ABCD training camp. He will not play in the next few matches of the training camp. Can we still fight? His agent is really afraid that Xiao Si will win the lottery. As long as you don't fight, you definitely won't lose. I thought quitting directly would calm things down, but at night, on TNT's program, Barkley began to comment. What does it mean to rest for a while? To put it simply, Stoudemire was directly beaten by Ryan and fled the training camp. The order in which they compete is usually the opening battle, the life and death battle, and the train station. He's lucky, he ran straight to the train station on the day of the opening battle. Damn it, I was so optimistic about him before the game. Smith on the side also complained bitterly about Stoudemire. Oh, the strongest player in the domestic high school league, who can't even hold the ball in front of international players and can even shoot without touching the ball. The basic skills of our domestic players are really poor now. Moreover, Amare showed no tactical literacy or basketball intelligence. Sadly, this is truly the player we were able to excel at in high school. Last time Chandler was hit by Yao Ming, and this time Stoudemire was hit by Ryan again. If our high school league doesn't improve, it's really going to end. These words left Ryan in a daze. How do you feel like I used to listen to these things? Stoudemire was beaten and ran away, while Ryan set a single-game scoring record under a series of hot topics. People are even more curious about Ryan. So the ABCD training camp for the next few days, but every game with Ryan was packed. Just without Stoudemire, Ryan also lost his only opponent. So in the next few games, with Paul's pitching, Ryan went straight to flying. Thanks to Ryan's efforts, Paul's assist went straight up to the sky. In the end, he ended his journey at ABCD training camp with an average of 34.5 points, 11.8 rebounds, and 6 blocks per game. Selected to the all-star lineup of the training camp and became the MVP, scoring champion, rebounding champion, and blocking champion of this training camp. He is the only player in the history of ABCD training camp who can win 4 personal honors at once. Ugly Country fans watched as Ryan defeated a group of young talents and easily won the award, and couldn't help but cry and howl, "No, Ugly Country basketball has no future." Ryan couldn't have imagined that one day he could also make Ugly Country fans feel hopeless when awarding the MVP trophy for the training camp. The host did not forget to mention the first high school student who was knocked off the line early after only half a game. Ryan, how do you feel about being able to defeat first high school student Stoudemire in this training camp? Actually, this can be considered a traditional question. When James won over Lenny Cook earlier, the host also asked this question. However, Ajan's response was humble. Everyone is talking about this game, it's like a centuries war, but I just want to play well, that's all. Klein, perhaps it was because he was tired of talking nonsense to his boss in his past life, but in this life, his words have always been very truthful. But the truth is often harsh. Moreover, Xiao Si did not respect Ryan before, so Ryan had no need to save face for him. Under the lens of ESPN, Ryan shrugged his shoulders. The only reason Amare became a top high school student is because he and I are not in the same division, and we cannot beat him up, that's all. On the evening of the training camp, Ryan treated Paul to a meal. Pau Air's average of 10.3 points and 13 assists per training camp this year has made him, who is just over 1.7 meters tall, equally famous. Considering that the cannon has been playing selflessly, Ryan would like to express his gratitude by treating him to a meal. In the end, Paul rushed to buy the order. Lai Gong is so kind to you. If you don't give up, leave a phone number and train together during the holidays in the future. Ryan. Since that's all for now, let's show you the enthusiasm of the people of the Mealy family. In this way, Ryan not only went all out at ABCD training camp, but also made a new friend. Returning to the hotel, Ryan felt more and more uneasy. The future NBA stars who have a good relationship with themselves now are Anthony and Paul. This Nima, we still need Wade. I'm afraid we can create a new version of the Banana Boat Brothers. Am I going to have to take this thing away by myself? How could Kailang Ajan have thought that he had lost more and more? After the end of the training camp, Ryan gained a great reputation, but he didn't get lost. Instead, he continued to be busy with training. At the same time, I am also considering my next destination. Anthony calls Ryan every day to urge him to go to Syracuse University with him to report. But to be honest, Ryan is not very interested in partnering with Anthony. By Anthony's side, Ryan will always be seen only as Pippin. And Ryan, who knows basketball history, is well aware of how strong Anthony's first college season was. In his first year of college, he led his team to win the championship and MOP, which was simply a miracle. With Anthony's team, Ryan doesn't have many opportunities to perform and his ranking is definitely not high. Since we need to make money through basketball, we must create the best earning environment, and the higher the ranking, the better. It would be great if we could take down Ajan's top scorer. That's right, if possible, Ryan doesn't even want to keep him as the top scorer. Although Ajan has lost a lot, as the saying goes, if you run out of money, you can earn more, but if you run out of conscience, you can earn more. This time when choosing a university, Ryan just wanted to shout, if you have fun, take a step forward. Oh no, the school that can make you the core will automatically take a step forward. With such thoughts in mind, Ryan has been getting very close to the University of Kansas recently. Coach Roy Williams agreed to Ryan's various requests over the phone. Ryan also called Wesley to ask for his opinion. Wesley felt that Kansas was not Ryan's best choice. After all, that school was already very strong. Joining an already strong team and winning the championship doesn't seem like a big bonus for me personally. I don't know why, but when Wesley said that, Ryan thought of the most charismatic man in basketball. And Wesley also felt that Coach Roy Williams was too famous. Even if Ryan really helped Kansas win the championship, some of the credit would go to Roy Williams picking the fruits. According to Wesley's personal network, Roy Williams is conspiring to collaborate with North Carolina. The specific contract amount has not been negotiated yet, but if Roy Williams can lead Kansas to win the championship, his asking price will definitely rise. So, Roy Williams is highly likely to see Ryan as his starting point for making money. At that time, take all the credit for yourself. However, Wesley still asked Ryan to go to the University of Kansas. Why specifically, Wesley didn't say. He just told Ryan, I'll know where I go, and it's time for you to know my strength. Ryan is speechless, get the riddle man out of Gotham. After hanging up the phone, Wesley smiled excitedly. Previously, he helped Ryan get in touch, and now he has an idea. Kansas will be Ryan's next place to create miracles. So, Ryan still went to the University of Kansas. Coach Roy Williams finally saw the forward answer he had been longing for, and he was so happy. The coach took Ryan on a tour of the school, chatting and laughing along the way. When he arrived at the training center, Ryan found that something was wrong. It's clearly off-season now, but there are many people training on the training ground at the University of Kansas. And all the players who come to train are famous NBA players. Pierce, who has 11 more holes than others, is the ultimate corn cob enthusiast. Reggie Miller, the beauty icon Marion in the ugly country basketball world, the three-point shooter Ben, and so on. As Ryan walked in, they all glanced at the legendary Chinese man who defeated James and broke the record for defeating Xiao Si at ABCD training camp. While watching, muttering something. Ryan didn't think much either. He's so famous now, and it's normal for NBA players to discuss him, right? Ryan asked Roy Williams, why are so many NBA players training here? Seeing Ryan having some doubts, Roy Williams quickly explained. Oh, it's like this. Our stadium is the training ground for the Dream 5 team at this stage, preparing for the 2002 World Championships. Because my general Nick Collison is the only college student on this Dream team, and in a few days, there will be a training match between Dream Team 5 and the College United. So, they will be training here for a period of time. You can take this opportunity to have more contact with Collison. After all, he is our core player and attacking pivot for next season. Upon hearing this, Ryan paused for a moment and said, core player. On the phone, Roy Williams ensured Ryan's core position before Ryan came over. The result is there. You told me that the center forward is the core of the attack. The spicy Roy Williams certainly knew what Ryan was thinking and quickly explained with a smile. Of course I will keep my promise, you will be our core, but not now. In my freshman season, I hope you can take on the role of a diligent frontline defender. The matter of the attack should be left to Sinridge and Collison. They have been cooperating for many years and have formed a tacit understanding on the offensive end. Of course, Ryan, don't worry. Collison graduated in his senior year in 2003, and next season will be his last season. After my freshman year, I guarantee that you will be the first core of the team. To be honest, Ryan almost jumped up and slapped Roy Williams in the face. This means that Chogwa doesn't have an anti-fraud app, otherwise Ryan would have already clicked to report him. Sure enough, Wesley hit the nail on the head. This bad old man was trying to trick Ryan into coming over to play, helping the team win the championship, and then taking on a big contract to take on North Carolina. As for the core position he promised for his sophomore year, when Roy Williams is gone, who is Ryan looking for? It's just empty promises, purely deceiving people. Moreover, Ryan had no intention of spending more than a year in college, and he didn't want to help NCAA earn money for free. Ryan simply stopped and didn't even bother to enter Roy Williams's office. Coach Roy, I thought you would be very sincere. You know our strength, Ryan. There is a high probability that we will win the NCAA championship next season. Think about it, how many players have a chance to win in their freshman year? Besides, Collison is the only player selected for the Dream 5 team as a college student, and it's normal to have him as the core, right? Zenrique has also been selected for the college student team and will soon play a warm-up match against Dream 5. They are both beings who can compete with NBA players on the same field. You are indeed very strong. Look for Ryan at the book garden www.xiaosuiyuan.com. But to be frank, there is still a gap between you and them. Can you play against NBA players now? If possible, I can also give you the core position. Do you have the ability to invite George Karl to join the college team and play warm-up matches against Dream 5? No, you can't. You don't have that ability yet. Just as Roy Williams was frantically PUA Ryan, George Karl walked out of the office and walked straight towards the two of them. Are you Ryan? Wes called me before. Starting this afternoon, you will be training with the college team. In a few days warm-up match, I want you on the field. Roy, is that okay? After speaking, George Karl turned around and left, leaving only Roy Williams standing still. No, I just finished saying that, but George Karl really invited Ryan and Dream 5 to play a warm-up game. This Roy Williams has been a coach for half his life, and for the first time, he realizes he can still be a clown. Ryan smiled, finally knowing why Weasley, knowing that Kansas was not suitable, insisted on calling himself here. That guy must have taken care of the internal relationships within Dream Team 5 and allowed himself to join the warm-up match as an exception. He brought himself to Kansas to compete with NBA players. Ryan looked at Roy Williams, who had just been arrogant but now had a stunned expression on his face, and shrugged his shoulders. It seems that being invited by Dream 5 to play a warm-up game is not something remarkable, coach. A handsome university celebrity, being a high school rookie, played a fierce prank.